All right, giving this another shot. I was trying to get the streaming software set up today, and it just didn't work. But I do have a series of topics to talk about. This is Video Lux Philippines. Welcome to the stream. Gosh, I'm rough. But that's life. That's what happens when you're working 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the Philippines. And today's topic was fears, frustrations, and desires. But before we get started, there was another little topic that came up, and I'm going to discuss that briefly while I wait to see if anybody actually joins the stream. I don't even know if it's streaming. It says live, but that's what it said last time. All right, older foreigners, young Filipinos. You hear it all the time. You see it on the vlogs. You see it on the comments. You see it on Reddit, right? Older foreigners and younger Filipinos. But what you don't see is the reverse of this, right? You don't see, hey, yeah, what's up, man? Decided to go back to live streaming. Got a couple of topics today, but the other day I was in BGC and I saw a granny, a grandma, a Caucasian grandma. And interestingly enough, she was with a young Filipino, and they were like walking down the street, and he was obviously with her, but obviously kind of like trying to make it look like we're just friends. Anyway, you see that a lot with older foreigners and younger Filipinos. Now, the main question, what I'm getting at here, and there's another facet to this, is that why is it only old foreign men and young Filipino girls? Like, why isn't there a whole market of old foreigner women with young Filipino males? Why don't you see that? Like, what's the dynamic there, right? Well, anyway, you're starting to see that more. You're going to see the grannies in BGC hauling around with their young Filipino studs. But really what you see more of is Caucasian women, middle-aged Caucasian women and or grannies walking around with young tomboy-looking Filipinas, which I guess I totally understand. So that's an interesting thought, interesting topic. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. Like, what is the dynamic there that only makes the men come and find the young Filipinas as opposed to not having older women come and find the young Filipinos? What's the dynamic? Is it money? Does it boil down to money? Is it that men are willing to support a younger woman and older women aren't willing to support a younger man? Like, what is it? So, all right, on with the topic. I had this whole thing set up in the software to like have the stuff displayed on the screen, but it's not there. I'm going to try to keep this live stream pretty short today, and then we'll take up another one weekly with the continuing topic. So I've got 10 frustrations, 10 desires, and 10 fears about moving to and or living in the Philippines. All right. What's your long-term plan on the PH? Geez, man, I live here. I've been here 10 years. It's pretty long-term. It's marriage. It's spousal visa. It's, it's either that or a retirement visa, like.
Or get the baby.
Right, or you have a baby, which
Yeah,
I'm trying
baby
to avoid.
with a Filipina.
Trying to avoid that for now. But as far as visas go, like you either get a spousal visa, you get your retirement visa, or you get a baby. Now,
Baby.
if you have a kid in the Philippines, you can always come back and forth in the Philippines, and you can immediately register your kid for a U.S. passport. And once we get the spousal visa here for me, we can get the U.S. visa there for her. That's just kind of how it works. And the reason why is because why would I go back to America now, man? It's a trash pit. It's a dumpster fire. It is literally a raging dumpster fire of illegal immigration and wokeism. Like, nobody wants that. All right. So, you know what? Number one on the list of top 10 frustrations is navigating visa requirements and extensions. So in 2025, the Philippines will be changing their visa requirements for foreigners. And I will tell you personal experience, like they're now starting to give me a hard time going to get my visa extension. Now, technically, you can still stay here for 3 years as a tourist. You just have to go to immigration every 2 months. Oh, thank you, man. That's incredibly generous of you. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Come to the Philippines, have a drink with us. Actually, screw the drink. Come out for a night on the town. We love that. It's very generous. Thank you.
Thank you, the legend.
Absolute legend.
Yes.
Uh, no, really, what it boils down to is like last time I went to immigration, they're like, "Oh, why do you need an extension?" I'm like, my spousal visa. I'm waiting for my apostille certificate." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, is your fiance here?" And like all this stuff, and like finally they gave me the extension, but now it's like I got to hustle to get all the paperwork together, and I'm hearing from other guys too, like just because you're allowed to stay doesn't mean they're going to immediately grant you the visa. Uh, so that's something to consider. That is a frustration. You used to be just like smooth sailing, man. You walk in, you're like, look, I want a 2 month extension. I want a 6 months extension when you qualified for it because you only qualify for it twice in a 3 year period. And I cover this in a visa, oh boy, video on my channel, which is actually kind of now going to be outdated. All right, so your top 10 frustration will be navigating visa requirements and extensions. And theoretically, you should be able to stay up to 3 years on a visa, on a tourist visa with extensions. And I did the math over the last year or two, and basically what it boils down to is about $1 a day. So when you go to get your visa extension and then you factor in your other costs like your rush fees, because they always make you pay a rush fee, and then your ACR card, your alien certificate of registration, whatever, all that will basically be $1 a day. So it'll cost you about $350 a year to stay in the Philippines on visa extensions. That's pretty damn good. They're also looking at a digital nomad visa, but that hasn't developed yet. All right, that was frustration number one, navigating visa requirements and extensions. If you guys have any questions, jump in on the little side stream thing here. All right.
USA is messed up.
USA is messed up. Yeah, man. It's jacked. It's jacked. Illegal immigration is through the roof. Immigrant crime. There's no veteran services. All the money for veteran services is going for illegal immigrants. They're not even immigrants. They're illegal migrants. They haven't immigrated. They've just invaded. They're literally invaders, destroying our country. And yeah, that's just part of it. I mean, we haven't even gotten into wokeism, right? When the child can seize your state, or when the child can seize your state, Jesus God, we've been up since 3 in the morning.
We've been out. It's 12 midnight.
Well, yeah, we got up around. No, we slept till 1. We slept till 1 in the morning because we're working 3 to 9. But when the state can seize your child because you don't want to change your child's gender and the state says that you have to, then there's a really, really big problem with government. Living Messias says, I have a kid and never have problems with extensions. Right. If you have a kid, you're good to go. Like if you have a kid, you're good to go. Don't blame the people, blame the policymakers. I do blame the policymakers 100%. They're not even policymakers, they're puppets of the policymakers. But we'll get into that another day.
Good day, avid traveler.
Definitely don't want to get into politics on the live stream. Let's talk about the Philippines. So
yes,
we talked about number 1, navigating visa requirements and extensions. All right. Now, subject number 2 is desires. Exploring hidden gems and off the beaten path destinations. Well, yeah, there's 7,500 islands in the Philippines. I mean, roughly 3,000 of them are inhabited. If you're living in Manila,
not often, Orion. Not often we do live stream. We just do it again now.
Yeah, we're just getting started again. Yeah. God, I mean, there's so many off the beaten path spots. Like she does this Facebook group thing, and I can put the link in the description, where basically like every month, except maybe not so much in rainy season, although they still do it. You can hike. There's like waterfall hikes, there's mountain hikes, there's nature park hikes, there's bike riding, excursions, there's beach weekends, and that's usually a Batangas beach weekend. Occasionally you get a Zambales beach weekend. And to do this, you have to I don't know, it's like 2,500 all in, and it's like a day and a night, right? Usually.
What do you mean?
Like your weekend things or anything, or a hike could be a day trip.
For the hiking, it could be overnight or like day
Usually,
trip or like whole day. Like
and usually the things like you have to leave at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
yes,
So
to
then,
like
yeah,
avoid traffic because once at 4 a.m. is already like the rush hour
right.
here for like for those people, for those Filipino who are here in this country, so they have to wake up early in order to get catch a jeepney, like
Well,
public
but we're not talking
transportation.
about that. We're talking about the tours. So if you sign up for one of these Filipino
Oh, I
tours, right? They're going to say you have to meet the van at 4 in the morning, or you have to meet
yeah.
the van at 3 in the morning at SM Aura or at SQ Quezon City or
Sometimes
whatever.
midnight or 3 a.m.
Yeah, midnight,
That
3 a.m.,
they tell.
whatever. And then it's a 3, 4, 6 hour ride to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
And then you get there, it's early in the morning. You spend the whole day there. They give you lunch. You have one night, they give you dinner, and it's usually whatever they pack. Um,
Yeah.
and then it's the activity, and then you drive home the next day. So it's exhausting weekend. It's crappy hours. But like a lot of times, like we'll just get a couple of guys together and be like, who's got a car? Who's got the weekend? We'll pay for gas. Let's go up to Zambales, and then we'd like blow out a Barreto weekend. Or
Yeah.
like for us, it's Puerto Galera. Like that is our spot. I got a whole Puerto Galera playlist on the channel. It's awesome. Let's see comments. With
This
the change of visa requirements, what are your views? Only 2 months extension. Well, it's a pain in the ass. Like you used to be able to get a 6 month extension 3 times during the 3 year visa period. Now you can only get it twice, and some offices I'm being told don't even allow it. So basically, what they're saying is that every 2 months you got to get your ass back to immigration or do it online. You can actually do it online now. I've never tried. Online Philippines is horrendous. Like I'd rather just go up to SMR and like process my visa, man. Here's my paperwork, whatever. The outings are cool, man. Like we've gone on a few. Like I went to Buscalan, the Kalinga mountaintop village where they do the hand tap tattoos on one of those things. It was a 12-hour freaking ride. We had to leave at like 3 in the morning. It was a hell of a tiring weekend. Let me tell you that. Do you recommend learning to drive a motorcycle in the States before coming? Yeah. I mean, I will recommend riding a motorcycle. Period. End sentence. They're fun as hell. And it's awesome. I got my motorcycle license, God, 30 years ago. And in Pennsylvania, you have to take a certain course. It's like a 2 week course in order to pass the test, in order to qualify for the test. And I highly recommend it. When I say 2 weeks, it was like two classrooms and two like 4 hour weekend sessions. It was simple. They basically make sure you don't fall off the thing. They make sure you don't stall out at a stoplight. They make sure you can do a figure eight and that you know all the laws and get told like some pretty basic stuff that will help you from getting killed. Now, granted, riding a motorcycle in the United States can be a pleasure. The roads are amazing, open roads. I live in Valley Forge National Park. I was zipping through there. Here in Manila, God damn! Like unless you get out on SLEX or NLEX, the Northern Luzon Expressway, or you're living in a province, which I wouldn't even recommend blasting around. The best island I rode on, and I've ridden on a few, like Bantayan was pretty good, Sikihor was pretty good. Uh, like you could see what was coming. Like you don't want to be just like all out on a motorcycle, and then like the next thing you know, there's a cow on the road, there's a dog on the road, there's a chicken in the road. Like you got to keep your head on a swivel riding motorcycles here. But they're cheap as hell, man. Like some guy bought a bike for like brand new, like nice little 125cc moped the other day for like $800. Like the plastic was still on it. Can you get around by foot in Cebu City? It depends on where you live, but my experience is no, you can't.
No, I was asking if she's a newbie here, and then where is the best city close to mall, dating, lower cost, and of living?
Hold on, am I missing?
Thinking of Cebu City. Yeah, this one. Yeah,
Oh,
that one.
where's the best city close to malls, dating, lower cost of living? Thinking of Cebu City. Well, you're going to find malls and lower cost of living in Cebu. You're going to find great dating in Cebu, probably nicer, less corrupted girls than Manila. And the corruption of girls is a completely different topic. It changes all the time. Uh, I'm literally writing a book about it. It's so complex. It's changed so much over the last 10 years. Um, Cebu City's nice, man. Like, go to Cebu City for a couple of weeks, but you got to figure out where you want to go. You got to really look at a map. You got to watch some videos. Talk to someone that lives. There's a guy Brevis. He lives in Cebu City. Like, he does live streams. Actually, he's a friend of mine. I can try and put his links in the description after this live stream. He'll get you set up right. I was living in the Lahog area of Cebu, and it was near malls, and it was near decent little restaurants, and it was near enough that I could just grab a taxi to go go to the North Bus Terminal, and 3 hours later you're in Bantayan, or you go to the South Bus Terminal, and 2 hours later you're in Moalboal, and you're canyoneering. Like, Cebu is nice. Cebu is nice for jump off spot for beaches and waterfalls. I did walk around a bit in Lahog and found that it wasn't super walkable. It's not like living in Makati or in BGC, which is a completely walkable 15-minute city. I just put a video up about that. Do they have automatic bikes if you're not comfortable shifting? Yeah, I mean, it's not a bike. It is a bike. It's a moped or a motor scooter, whatever they call them. And the motor scooters today are nice, man. It's not like a little putt-putt. And you can rent them anywhere, and they're cheap, and they're easy to ride, and they're easy to have someone back ride on.
Is it
Rental Facebook much better than motorcycle and taxis? Yeah. Hey, guess who joined? Mr. Oliver is on the stream. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, Ollie.
Ollie, how you doing, man? I don't know if you remember, bro. I was telling you we're on the 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. schedule, so I figured, might as well start live streaming.
Hi, Ollie.
Oh God, Oliver, I was just
The guy said, what is your opinion about Angeles nightlife? It's great.
No, it's not. I actually have.
I like it though.
I have one video up on my channel that's called Angeles City, and you should watch it. I mean, no, it's not. Like, it's great for a weekend. Like, it's got one really good dance club. It's got a walking street with a shit ton of go-go bars on it, with a bunch of tired and thirsty, like, Filipina 4, 5s, and 6s. And if you go early enough, you might get a 7 or 8, but the 9s and 10s are all going to be snapped up by Koreans. They're basically saying Angeles is being overrun and overtaken by Koreans. And there's a huge Korean town there, and you can get wonderful Korean food there. I'm not dissing Koreans, unless you're going to go try to snag 8, 9s, or 10s in a strip bar, and then they're all gone.
Back to my roots.
What's going on? Great to see you, man.
What is it?
Back to my roots.
Yeah.
He misses partying with us.
Oh, come back. Let's
Yeah,
party.
come back, man. We always got a little party left in us. All right, so I talked about number 1 on the list of frustrations, navigating visa requirements and extensions. Number 2 on the list was, subject 2 on the list is desires, exploring hidden gems and off the beaten path destinations. Yeah. It's a little chat GPT there for you. Anyway, the third subject today is fears. And number 1 fear on the list, concerns about personal safety and crime rates. Okay, well, that's a valid fear. And I would tell you not to worry about it. Depending on where you live, like, it's not going to be an issue for you. If you're living in Makati, like, if you're living in Ayala, you're living in Salcedo, you're living in, what the hell is that other village called? You're living in Poblacion, Makati, and you're living in BGC. Like, BGC is probably the safest city in the world. Like, unless you're like a Filipino late at night and you happen to be like targeted by like the random like 3-time-a-year jackass that drives through on a motorbike and snatches purses as they're driving by, you're going to be safe. The only real crime there is, you get your phone stolen from the club, you get pickpocketed. I mean, that's going to happen. It's going to happen anywhere in the Philippines.
There's another one.
Where
Where did you guys two meet?
Where do we meet? We met in BGC at the Market. What's that bookstore called?
National.
The National Bookstore. I saw her and I'm like, I'm like, hi.
That was my second time there. My first time was with my cousin.
I'm like, are you picking up school supplies? Are you in college? And she's like, no, it's for my nieces and nephews. And I'm like, I'm just here to pick up some stuff too. But when I'm done, why don't we get a cup of coffee? Like, she's like, yeah, I'm shy. I'm okay.
Why your
And
voice is low?
because that's how
You're
girls
the
talk.
one who's shy.
Anyway, all right. So personal safety. All right. I don't know if you guys know, I am a third degree nationally ranked American Kempo black belt, and I have a second black belt in Filipino martial arts, double stick fighting, knife fighting. I'm almost never concerned for my safety. Uh, but even if and I always have my head on a swivel. And situational awareness is martial arts number one. So like, as long as you're not stupid, as long as you're not drunk and stupid, and as long as you're not like walking around looking at your phone. Like I have a bro who's not a dummy, who's not a small guy, walks out of a Wendy's at like 2 in the morning in Poblacion a couple of months ago, and like he's looking at his phone, he's got his bag of food, and somebody just like zips by and wraps his phone and he's gone. He's like, fuck. So it can happen. Uh, it's it's not like somebody's gonna you're not gonna be walking in dark alleyways in Poblacion. You're gonna be on main streets. You're gonna be on Burgos. You're gonna be on Calayan. You're gonna be like, on Don Pedro. You're gonna be on General Luna. Like the places that you're gonna go aren't dirty, dark back streets that are residential homes. It's a 24/7 hour town pretty much. There's guards outside the filling station. There's guards outside the bars. There's guards everywhere. Um, it's rare that I've ever had like more than a concern where I'm like, two guys walking towards me. All right, let me take the, other side of the street kind of thing. Like, and that's just what I mean, situational awareness. Crime rates. I mean, if you live in a condo, they can't get in without ID. The place is locked down. I mean, your door is solid. You can have a safe in your spot. Like, it's not like you're gonna have a problem. Like we live outside of BGC. We live in the barangay. We have like a gated, it's like it looks like a prison, like with gates and bars. Like every window is barred. There's a giant gate with a huge lock on it. The door is like solid oak. Like it would take a sawzall or an arc welder to break into this place. All right, let's check out these comments. Wouldn't recommend walking around after midnight in any city in the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia are much safer at night. It's very, very possible. I am constantly walking around at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning in the Philippines, and not just in Taguig, in BGC and in
Pasig.
Makati. I've done it in Pasig too. Yeah, we lived in Pasig, and we lived in like, was that
Muslim area.
Nagpayong? Yeah, it was like a
Muslim
Muslim
area.
area. 4 in the morning. It's like, like
The mosque.
it was fucking nuts, man. Like, and we paid like 9K a month for that house. So like
for 5 only because
well, we split it.
yeah.
But I mean, geez, like 9K for an
3
apartment,
bed
like it's not a high end
bedroom.
area. Thailand's still a language barrier. Yeah, Cebu's great, man. It's better buying a cheap phone to vlog. I was using my iPhone. Okay, so I have a cheap phone, and it's a 4K cheap phone, and it's great for shooting video. And unless you're like, if you're out at night and you want to like, we don't buy iPhones anymore. Like they're just too damn expensive, and if you lose the thing, it's like, you know, it's just not worth it here. And to shoot 4K sharp video like the Samsung shoot pretty good video.
Actually, it's Samsung is good for shooting.
So it's some of the, like when I first switched over from, I think I had an iPhone 7 was the last one I had.
7 Pro.
Yeah, and then I have an 11. I had an 11, and
Yes,
it was pretty good. I mean, it was great. I had no problems with it. And then I think it got stolen, and then I'm like, fuck this. And then I bought a Samsung, and I'm like, you know what? I like this video better than the iPhone.
Just don't be mouthy or get into arguments with
Yeah,
Filipino.
I mean, you never want to be mouthy here. Like some guy got mouthy with me the other night. He was a foreigner. He just got lucky. I just went to I'm like, guard, guard, throw him out now. And the guard's like, you get out. Like, there's ways to handle it. You don't have to get into it. Like, I spent enough years putting in mouthpieces and gloves and sparring and even bare knuckle sparring to know that, like, I don't want to get up and fight. Like,
Malaysia speak English too.
camera to use when I vlog outside. I either use the Insta 360 camera, which is cool. It works like a GoPro and or a 360 camera, or I use the 4K 60 frame per second on this Samsung thing. I mean, unless I'm like shooting a feature, and then I use like a Sony 4K. I think I use a Sony 60 CX6100 with a 16 millimeter lens. It's great. Best camera I ever owned.
Steve, good afternoon there in Los Angeles.
I used to use GoPros though, and eventually I'll probably go back to them. Yes, good morning from Los Angeles.
Afternoon there.
Uh,
Thank you,
Avid,
Avid Traveler.
thank you again for your donation to the cause. uh, Malaysia is very underrated. Yeah, I wouldn't know much about that. Samsung phones have the best cameras, higher res than iPhones. The cameras, I got no problem with it. Especially when you take it into post production, like you have a lot of color range to play with. Is it easier extending your visa yourself, or do you need? Oh, dude, it's so easy to extend it. Like, just make sure you have all your paperwork. Make sure you go before the thing expires, and be polite. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. And you pay and you're done. Like the SM Aura visa immigration office, or the SM Aura immigration office, is the easiest, hassle-free thing in the world. Like you definitely don't need an agent to extend your visa. You can even do it online now.
I think back to my roots this is Jerry. I think that's Jerry.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Are you guys partying with Shell and Jerry next time?
No, it's not.
That's
Jerry.
Jerry.
He's
That's Jerry.
Oh, he's
That's
just messing
Jerry.
with us.
You're
Dude,
baleo.
anytime you want, man. What do you do to support yourself? Oh yeah, we got a bunch of hustles going on. YouTube, is been a big part of it now. What else? I do consulting. I do consulting for guys that want to visit the Philippines and or move to the Philippines. I do consulting still for BPO, business process outsourcing, which is what I did for years. Startup, call centers, data centers in the Philippines. Spent the last 3 years working directly for Filipino call center, Filipino tech company on Google accounts, and I got a huge insight into back end Google. So now I do some consulting for guys that are trying to set up optimization for their Google advertising. We sold high end advertising and also did the interviews. It was a CX called CX Labs program, wherein we would interview high end Google spend advertisers and we would promo up and coming changes to the software to them. Say, hey, this is how you normally target somebody for a geo fence campaign, and this is the interface that you use. What if we change the interface to be this and gave you this option? And we get all the feedback from like 100 users per study, and then do the analytics and the reporting on that.
Oh, it's Michael, baby.
Oh,
We didn't know that you left. We thought you're still here in the Philippines.
Manny. Thanks for joining the stream. Manny Explores is on the stream. He's a vlogger from New York City. He's got some interesting stuff, and he is also a Philippine vlogger when he gets his ass over here. Check out his channel. BGC rooms are expensive, like 30K pesos per month. How do you find a bargain condo? Good. So, excuse me, 30K pesos a month. So now that's what? Almost $600. That's like $550. So $550 a month is, I guess, in my opinion, still pretty damn cheap. I mean, I was paying $1,000 for a one bedroom in rural Pennsylvania, and that was 10 years ago. There's a couple of condos, the older condos, that you can rent for cheaper than that. Whether you're going to get much cheaper on Airbnb, I can't really say anymore. It used to be cheaper. Like I was renting for $350 a month in BGC, but I was also renting for a year or 6 months, and I would go to the landlord and I would say, hey, look, I need a 6 month lease. I want it. They want 500. I'm like, no, 350. Here's 6 months up front. That's the trick. Or they're like, no, we don't do a year lease. I'd be like, well, look, really, or we don't do a 6 month lease. I'd be like, look, I really need a 6 month lease. I think I'm going to extend for the year, but right now my contract is only for 6 months. So let me just lease at this rate. I'll pay everything up front and we're good. And what are they going to do? Say no? And I've even paid a year up front, like to get the rate I want. The guy wanted, like the last condo, they wanted something like 35,000, and she talked him down to like 27,000. I'm like, look, I'll just pay it up front. Basically, the bottom line is you got to get an older building, or you got to get somebody that's desperate. Now, the thing about desperate is they just published. Didn't publish. I just edited a video about this last night. They're closing the POGOs here. POGOs are now closed. POGO is illegal in the Philippines. POGO is Philippines online gaming operation. There were like probably 10,000 Chinese nationals living in the country, working and running POGOs, most of them illegal. So many that were illegal that they decided to shut them down. No more licensing for it. So now these people are leaving the country like mass exodus. They're selling their condos, they're selling their Rolexes, they're selling their Lambos. Like this guy that we went out with the other night, he resells their Lambos. He's like, dude, 2 weeks ago I was getting 22 million pesos a Lambo. He's now down to like 16, 17 million just because the market's so flooded. So the same goes for condos. I'm trying to keep up on these comments here. How more expensive is it to live in BGC? It's probably 30% more than CEBU, but I'm sure you could find a place in CEBU that would cost as much as BGC. Like that, the problem with the Philippines is you got to look around, and sometimes that takes time, and sometimes that means you just got to find a good little Airbnb to park in, and then start looking and or find yourself a decent realtor. But problem with realtors again is they want the highest cut they can. So we only ever used a realtor once. Normally we go on Facebook Marketplace and look. I'll be in Makati next week. Hope to run into you from Seattle. Jules, all right, man. Well, we're usually out. Keep an eye out for us.
Your IG is connected here, right?
My IG, yeah, all my IG links are in the video descriptions, except in this live stream.
He left in June. Remember Michael?
Yeah.
Really? No.
Ever consider living down in Puerto Galera? So I did live in Puerto Galera for a long time. That was years ago, and I loved it, and I do consider it still. Yes. The problem is, actually, I don't really know if there's a problem.
Ooh,
Actually, there is a problem. We have some familial obligations here in Manila right now. Otherwise, we'd probably be out, like no doubt. Left in June, back in December. We should go to Thailand if you guys are up for it.
Moving to Philippines for good.
I'm not saying that we're not up for it, but December's such a busy month for me, man. Like I got so many tours, nightlife tours. Like December's is the big month. Fame residences. I don't know fame residences. I guess I can look it up. 25K is good rent though, if it's in BGC or Makati. Matthew, awesome channel. What is the best place that I recommend to live in Manila? It's embarrassing for a white guy to live in a typical low budget neighborhood. No, it's not. I mean, I live in a less than typical low budget neighborhood, bro. If you could walk outside and see the street, man, like. But I'll give you the difference. Like we live 1.5 kilometers from BGC. Okay.
McKinley.
The not even 1 kilometer from McKinley Hills, right? Like Venice Canal Mall. If I had a bow and arrow, I could hit the Venice Canal Mall from here. That's how close we are. But you look outside, man, the streets are broken up. The streets flood when it rains. There's chickens. There's dogs. There's a dog outside.
A cat.
Dog has like a prolapse like this big, like hanging out of its ass. It's like fucked up out there, man. Like we live next to the Palenque market. Like, you know, you go out there at the wrong time of day, and there's like 1,000 people in the street, and like, but everybody's chill, everybody's cool, everybody knows me. This house, 3 bedroom house, 3 baths, full sala, upstairs and downstairs, and a roof deck, and a sun porch, and gated parking, and a front porch, and we're paying less than $300 a month. So we're trading BGC sort of super, high end pool gym lifestyle for space and chill. Because when they go back to lockdowns, BGC condos are hell, man. It's like living in a prison box, and there is no pool and there is no gym. It's just 24 hours a day in your box. So what neighborhood do I recommend? Well, I mean, if it's your first time in the Philippines, get a place in BGC. It's the cleanest, nicest, safest city in the world. Like, it's so nice. Or somewhere in Makati, like Century City, right next to Poblacion, Knightsbridge Residences. What's the other one that the guys like there? Oliver's still on the stream. Where do you live again, man?
Mandaluyong?
No, he lives in Gramercy. He lives in Gramercy. Gramercy, Knightsbridge.
Fancy, Ollie. I also said,
Oh, and Sauceda Village. That's the other one, yeah.
Sauceda Village. Yes. Fancy, Ollie.
You know what? Mandaluyong's not bad either. Like, right across the bridge is the Aqua Residences. Aqua,
and the other one is
Tivoli. Tivoli's older but cheaper. Like the Tivoli Residences right in Mandaluyong. I know a couple guys that live there.
Sorry, baby, I have to go now.
All right, I'll see you later. Bye. Sorry, guys,
I have to go.
It's just me left on the stream. I know I'm not as picturesque. Looking at these, I heard you can make 1.2K USD a month at the call center if you're bilingual. Yeah, that's true. It's totally true. I have a bilingual team actually, and they get paid at the top of the scale. And it also depends on your BPO. But we were paying, I think we were paying 52,000 pesos a month for them. But again, you're also going to pay taxes on top of that. And something else, taxes and what essentially is Social Security that you'll never collect. But it's not embarrassing for a white guy to live in a low budget neighborhood. Not at all. A lot of guys do it. You'll be with a girl you met from Pina Love. Sweet. Some of my first girlfriends were from Pina Love, man. Like, and they were wonderful. What is the best nightclub in Manila for a foreigner looking to meet a woman without financial interest? Okay, so any nightclub in Manila may have people in it looking to meet for financial interest. So the best one, I actually think, is Club Urban in Makati, probably the one in QC too. And the reason why is because Urban just tends to be more of a Filipino crowd. Like, you don't get a lot of Caucasian foreigner types in there. You don't get a lot of the African foreigner types in there. It's just a young Filipino crowd. And those girls are D2D. They're down to dance, down to drink, and DTF. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have hooked with a cutie. She's out of the room. In Urban. Not that she doesn't know. I mean, sometimes she's there. Like, she knows what's going on. There's no secrets here. I am totally not on my list here, but there's comments, so that's better, I think. Yeah, so my bro who's on the channel, is in this chat stream, Digital Nomad Trader, who also has a YouTube channel. He lives in Gramercy, and he likes it a lot. And the location can't be beat. Guadalupe sounds cheap but decent. Yeah, Guadalupe is good too. I used to live in Guadalupe. I used to live in SM Light Towers, right in Guadalupe, which is sort of like Mandaluyong, Guadalupe. The problem with Guadalupe is the traffic is atrocious. And you're going to be near. You're probably going to be near. Is that C5 there? That's EDSA. You're going to be near EDSA, and EDSA is just loud as hell and polluted as hell. The good thing again is that you're right near the train, but who takes the train? I mean, I used to when I lived at Light, I would take the train, but that is just a freaking nightmare. My other buddy used to live in Guadalupe. I think it was called Pine Point, and I had a girlfriend that lived in Pine Point. They were nice. I mean, nice little decent condos. Green Hills is a great neighborhood as well. It's just, yeah, it's farther out. Like, I'm not saying you can't live in Green Hills. You can take a taxi everywhere or a Grab. This time of year, getting a Grab can be hell when it rains. If you're going to live in Green Hills, you might as well live in Eastwood City. And I have a whole playlist up about Eastwood City. And Trader X prefers a party in Quezon than Makati because there's less foreigners. And that's true. I'm not saying I don't prefer to party in Quezon. I'm just saying I don't feel like taking a damn Grab out there and back every time I want to party. And there's no way I'm driving when I'm drinking. Jules, yeah, man. I mean, usually on IG, I'll post a story. Like if we go out, I'll be like, you'll see where we're at because there'll be a story on the thing. All right, so we went through. It was 3 subjects: frustrations, desires, and fears. And we hit frustration 1, navigating visa requirements. Desire 1, exploring hidden gems and off the beaten path, which is a whole nother topic in and of itself. I just touched on it. Fears, concerns about personal safety and crime rates. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be living in a place where there's not a lot of crime, and you're going to be safe. Just keep your eyes open. Be situationally aware. Don't be staring at your phone on the street, and don't be drunk and stupid in public, and you'll be fine. Do I ever take joyrides to get around? I take joyrides all the time. In addition, I take joyrides more than anything. It's either Joyride, Move It, or Angkas. And I was going to do a video on point-to-point transport services. But the nice thing about Joyride is you can get a car and or a bike. The nice thing about Joyride, Angkas, or Move It is that you get bikes. So it's all motorcycle taxis, and they come fast, and they're cheap as hell, and they're fast to get where you're going. Like, I probably pass 100, 150 cars in traffic every time I'm on a motorcycle. And like I did this just the other night. It was a 5-kilometer trip from here to Poblacion. It took 19 minutes. It cost 99 pesos, 120 with a tip. That's $2. So for $2, I got from Taguig to Makati, where we were partying, in 20 minutes. And it was Friday night, so the traffic was atrocious. Do you find people in business there, to be honest, are they slow paced overall? Business landscape. So business is a huge topic. I mean, are we talking foreigners that invest in Filipino businesses? Are we talking Filipinos that run sorry stores, or the cart on the street? I find that I have guys that run very large businesses here. I got a guy that owns a call center. He's constantly working, constantly busy. Is he laid back? Yes and no. He's a great guy. He's busy as hell. He's working all the time. And when he's not working, he's got young girls. Like, that's what he does. He's like, I'm either working or I got hotties. Every now and then he goes out. I got another guy. He runs a huge business here, industry and day trading. And again, if you want to talk about day trading, that's Digital Nomad Trader, who's in the chat right now. And he's working all the time, and he's this super chill guy, but he's completely tanked up. Like, we go out and this guy is just like, he's like, he's like the Tasmanian devil, man. Like, I see a guy put away like 20 or 30 Sam Miggs in a night, and he's just like never quits. We like to say we're not normal, and because we're not normal, no, we're not laid back. I mean, we're chill, but no one's laid back here, especially if you're in business.
We're not normal. We're abnormal.
Are they honest? Well, in some ways you have to be honest, because if you're dishonest and you have a business license as a foreigner, someone's going to just rat you out and you're going to get booted. Like, you got to follow the law. I mean, are they honest? I don't know. I mean, I don't do a lot of business with people that run businesses here. I know a guy that is constantly getting large investors to invest, and let's just say some investors have been less than happy. Does that mean he's been dishonest, or does that mean that he ran into issues? I can't really say. How many nights a week do you drink? One or two. And Oliver's on the channel, so I will say maybe three.
One or two.
No, come on. Like last week we went out.
Last week you went out.
I went
4
out
days
3
and 4
times.
nights.
I went out 3 times last week.
You went out with
No.
me. Oh, as well. You went out
We didn't go out 4
last
times.
week.
No way we went out 4 times last week.
With that, you follow, and then you went
No,
as
it was
well.
3 times. Actually, it might have been 4 times.
Went out
It was
Saturday
4
to
times,
Saturday.
but I hadn't planned to go out 4 times. The more channel members are in town, the more tours I'm doing, the more I go out. There are nights that we go out 5 nights a week. I mean, do I get smashed every night? No. Do I have a beer or 2? Yeah. The more I'm out, the less I drink, which is weird. So, but we go through a pretty good phase where we're literally only out once or twice a week sometimes. And I don't drink at home. So, yeah, 1 or 2, 3 nights a week now at the most. And 3 nights, it's just not good, man. Like, especially at my age, like, it kills my gains. Like, it doesn't necessarily knock me out. It doesn't, like, I don't put on weight. I don't get, like, sloppy. I just don't have gains. So that's not good. All right, number 2 on the list of frustrations: finding reliable and affordable long-term accommodations. We talked about that already on the stream. Yeah, it can be tough. Like, usually what I tell guys is you got to come in. Most of us start with an Airbnb, long-term, 1 to 3 months in an Airbnb, and then we look for, if we know we're going to be here for 6 months, try to negotiate a 6-month lease. A lot of times with Airbnbs, like after a month, you'll be like, I like this place. Let me talk to the owner and say, hey, look, instead of me paying you, I don't know, $550 a month on Airbnb, how about I give you $450 a month and I'll pay you 6 months up front. And then you negotiate your lease offline. The problem is that when you leave the condo after you have a real lease, they'll be like, oh, sorry, it's not clean. We're going to charge for cleaning services. Oh, sorry, you have to pay for the air conditioner to be fixed and cleaned. Oh, you have to pay for the grease trap to be cleaned. Like, and then they end up like taking half your, deposit. It's almost always that way. Like, Filipinos will nickel and dime you when it comes to your deposit, no matter how good you leave the apartment. Unless you literally pay for all those things yourself, take video of it, have the receipts, and like send it all. Like, look, the grease trap is clean. See, here's a picture, here's a video, here's the receipt. Hey, the air conditioner, not only was it cleaned, it was flushed. It was, like here's the guy with the hose. Like, they will nickel and dime you and try to snag every cent of your deposit that they can. And it's a shame too. Like, why? It's because you're a foreigner. Let's see. Let me check some of these. Drinking wrecks my workout schedule. It doesn't wreck my workout schedule. I just don't get I just don't have the same gains. Mark, I missed you. Ever thought of doing a vlogger of the Clark Hospital with your dome? Yes. And there's a guy that lives up that way that I've been talking to. I'd like to get up there and check something like that out. Where in the province do you want to relocate? So I can't really tell you the name of the island because it's where she's from. We call it the hidden island of the Philippines. It's in Visayas in the Masbate region. And We own property there now, a coconut farm. So within a couple of years, the idea is that we retire from Manila, move down there, farm coconuts. I'll build greenhouses, off grid building. That's my thing. Like those primitive builds, the off grid builds, the homesteading. I'm actually a contractor, a carpenter by trade. I'm a master carpenter. I haven't worked in the field in, God, what, 20, 30 years? But I still have the skills and the desire. Um, I will be doing a live stream at least once a week. And I'll be going down this list of frustrations, desires, and fears. uh, the owner of Neon Knights, Fire and Occulto, he is in jail and the clubs are shut down. It is true. Boom. It's not, and it's probably not just the owner, it's the damn manager. What ended up happening was they got raided by MBI and they had underage girls working there as probably bar girls. And I think they had like a back room where they were selling services with underage girls. So yes, actually, Occulto was open the other night, but Fire and Neon Lights are definitely shut down. Now, Occulto definitely has a back room. It has like a bunch of back rooms, but they're like, private party rooms. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shut Occulto down too. But yeah, they were stupid. And, it's great too. Like I boycotted them probably 4 months ago, 6 months ago. I knew something was wrong there. The management had changed. The policies had changed. The GROs, the guest relations officers / bar girls had changed. Like everything had changed there. Like I got into a big fucking tiff with them one night and ended up like not paying and getting thrown out. So yeah, we don't go back there anymore. And luckily we don't, because the guys that were in there all that night all got arrested. See any homeless these days? Americans go over there and run out of money and end up on the streets panhandling. There's this one guy I see all the time in Makati. He's an American, and he panhandles outside of one of the bars I like. Actually, outside of the 7-Eleven across from the bar I like. I don't see many. Most guys are smart enough to be like, shit, I ran out of money. Time to leave, and like they have enough to get a plane ticket. Like you do know, right? It's like, shit, I've only got 5K left and I'm not making any money, and I better buy a plane ticket and go home. Jesus Christ. I guess no, I honestly I can't understand how you get stuck here. No, I just can't. Like you could buy the cheapest plane ticket in the world, and you might have an 18-hour layover in Somalia. Who the hell knows? But at least you're going to get home. Matthew, video about the bicycles and the fried chicken business. That was a joke, man. That was a complete spoof. My girl's brother builds those. And he said, look, can I use your garage? Because we have a huge parking space here. He's like, can I build, chicken carts in your garage for a month? I'm like, yeah, well, sure. Just, if you're using an arc welder, just pay my electric bill or something. And he had his boss do that. So, although while I was making the spoof video for the chicken carts, I did do some math as to the kind of money that you could make running carts like that. And I have another friend here who was a guy that ran a restaurant in Korea, and he wanted to do a cart here, and he started pricing stuff, and the headaches, in my opinion, are worth more than the bang that you get for your buck, right? So they say the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Just think about what it would be like to have to maintain a business like that. Like, where are you going to keep the cart? How are you going to get the cart to the location you want to sell it in? Is it going to be out here in the Palenque near where you live and you ride the cart there? Or do you have to, put the cart in a truck and then take it to Makati where you want to sell? And then where do you keep it at night? Like, there's just so many little issues running a business like that. Hi from the UK. You come to the Philippines, BGC for 1 month. Oh, this Sunday. Wow, nice, man. Uh, phew, hope you missed the rain. It's been nuts. They had like it rained the entire island. It rained like the entire island last night. There was so much rain, I couldn't believe it. When I get back, I just need to sort out a remote income. Are they still doing 6 month visas? I don't think they're doing 6 month visas. It is a headache getting visa extensions now. Like you got to have a reason. Like you got to be like, oh, my fiance, or oh, I'm waiting for my apostille certificate for my marriage, or oh, I'm waiting for my spousal visa. Let me see the paperwork. Like they 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 don't just immediately grant you visas anymore. And I covered that in depth earlier in the stream. So if you watch the replay, you'll see what we talked about. If you could go back and talk to yourself, what would you do differently in the Philippines? It would all be about girls.
Girls.
Yes, girls. It would be about.
Girl.
It would just be about not. I mean, you have to harden your heart, man. Like you're gonna have girls that you're gonna fall in love with, and they're gonna have issues, and they're gonna have sob stories, and they're gonna need help, and they're gonna cry, and you're gonna want to make them happy. Like you just you gotta toe the line. You gotta be like, look, this is the budget. This is what we spend. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Go make some money, and or leave. Like, what can I do? I am not going to dip into the savings or work an extra 40 hours a week just to give you, I don't know, whatever the hell is you need or want. Like, I'm like, you got to look for girls that can handle their own shit. And that's not something I did at first. Like, I looked for girls that were sweet, beautiful, and lived with me. So, in other words, they weren't really working. Like, the one actually ended up running a business out of the house, but I'm like, get your own insurance, you know, uh, handle your own issues. This is how you save money. I'll coach you on how to do it. This is how you use spreadsheets. Handle all that shit. Uh, what else would I have done? Man, not too much. Like I always got lucky with rentals. Uh, I never really, splurged on much except when I was working for like a U.S. corporate, and then U.S. corporate paid for everything. Uh, it's all about girls, like how I managed myself with girls, how I managed finances with girls, or just how I ended up getting like lied to by girls. Um, yeah, that's really all I would have done different. I heard that airports have already started screening passengers for mpox. It's very likely because they're completely brainwashed here and they believe everything the WHO terrorist organization says. And I just saw an article the other day. They're like, dermatologists and frontliners will get the first vaccines. It's like, oh, so you want them dead first? It's like, fucking idiots, man. Like, there's enough science out there now to know that stuff is just. It is essentially a depopulation tool, and it always has been. Just look at the history of tetanus and DTaP. Like, when I first started looking into this, and strangely enough, with current events, it's because of RFK Jr. So about 20 years ago, I started following RFK Jr. before politics, before anything, before I even knew he was a Kennedy. Like, he was the guy that cleaned up the Hudson. He was a lawyer. And he also ran something called CHD, the Children's Health Defense Fund. And that was something that I used to support because it had so much incredible, awesome medical data available that was not only thoroughly vetted, it was peer reviewed, and it was allowed as evidence in court. So you knew it wasn't big pharma bullshit. And what I learned from reading, I learned a lot, which is why I don't take needles anymore. But what I primarily learned was that, let's say we're talking about tetanus. So what is the myth about tetanus, right? And it's exactly just that, which is, oh, I stepped on a rusty nail. I have tetanus. I guess they're spores, right? I got tetanus spores in me. I could get lockjaw and seize up and die, right? Go to the doctor and say, all right, doc's going to say, we're going to need to give you a tetanus shot. You'll be like, wait, doc. How long before the antibodies in the tetanus shot will be effective in my system, right? And we know during the recent pharmaceutical WHO scam that they said if you get an injection, it's 2 weeks before you can travel, right? So even if you get the injection, you still can't travel until that shit's been in your body for 2 weeks. And it's the same with tetanus. So if you get a tetanus shot, it takes 2 to 3 weeks for those antibodies to create an immune response in your body. Now ask the doctor, all right, doc, so how long does it take for the spores that are in the tetanus to become active and cause me to have lockjaw and seize up? Any doctor worth his salt will tell you, well, that'll be immediately. So I'm like, doc, you're telling me that I need to get a vaccine that won't be effective for an immune response for 2 to 3 weeks for a tetanus spore that can kill me within immediately to 3 hours. And they're kind of like, yeah, I guess that's what I'm telling you. Now, you go back and you look at the history of tetanus and some of the ingredients in there, and there is for infertility. There's an infertility, I don't know if it's a drug, infertility ingredient. And then you go back and you look at the history of that, and now it's all DTaP, right? So they tell you, oh, you need a tetanus shot. Here's your DTaP. Fuck that. DTaP's like, it's got like, it's a inoculation for 3 different conditions, right? They'll tell you you can't get tetanus alone, which is a lie. So when you start seeing like all that shit, and now these idiots that believe that monkeypox is a thing, or that it's going to kill you, or that you need an inoculation for it, it's just more WHO terrorist organization fear mongering. Don't really want to talk about it, though. Other than say, I told people there'll be another lockdown, and that's why we moved out of condos. And I said, that lockdown, guess when that's going to happen? Oh, yeah, for the U.S. elections. Yeah, because we need mail-in voting. Because how else can you cheat? All that aside, let me check some of these. So, yeah, I mean, don't think for a second that the world shutdowns and the lockdowns and all that shit hasn't been planned since 2007. Right? Why do you think they called it lockstep? Since when in the history of the world have, 144 countries that belong to the UN done the same exact thing at the same exact time and said the same exact thing on all their newscasts, and all the newscasters and everybody in lockstep? That shit was planned, and it has been planned. They've been waiting for the technology to get to the point where they can roll it out. Just see how many fucking people would suck it up. They want 100% digital control, the 15-minute cities, all that stuff. Again, can't really talk about it. They'll probably shut this live stream down if I talk about it. No 6 month anymore, 2 at a time. After 1 year, they get aggressive on asking you what you're doing. That's right. So my friend kicked in that, like, on the visas. Like, they got aggressive with me last time. I've been here 2 years. 2 years in September. And they basically weren't going to give me the extension. I had to get her to come in and be like, look, we're waiting on paperwork. You should do meetup somewhere in Makati for your subscribers, not in clubs and stuff. We love your content. Some of us are sober. I'm happy to do sober meetups. I do, all kinds of tours. Sometimes I do like museum tours, or do like Quiapo photography tours. Like, I haven't really done like a coffee shop tour, but I'd be happy to meet you in a coffee shop. The thing is that the nightlife tours are usually booked, and it's sort of like a consultation, and let's just say officially her company gets paid to do that, so it's kind of like work for me. I mean, not like I won't go out and meet somebody and hang, but usually I only do that with friends that I've known for a while. But thank you for the recommendation. I mean, yeah, maybe I should do like I don't know, like what do they do? A book club?
Book club?
A book club.
Huh?
Book club.
Book club.
Where people can meet and talk about things, without drinking. Semper Fi. Singapore Dan, welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you. What have you found the easiest way to meet a good peanut and not a gold digger? Okay, so there's no easy way. No, that's not true. My bro was here for 10 days and like he met a girl immediately and he said, how do I vet her? And I said, well, just be really clear with her about a couple of things. First of all, you have a couple of ground rules, right? One, don't invite her to your hotel room. Don't invite her to your condo. Don't say meet me in my hotel lobby. And if you do, and she says yes, then she's probably looking for action, and action is going to lead to, oh, you have to pay me. So any girl that wants to come to your condo or your hotel on the first meet, or says I'll come to you, is probably looking for a transaction. I find nowadays that most of them are just straight up like, I want fun for money. So like they just write themselves out of the game. The other ones, the sneaky ones, well, what they do is they just get to the point where you're comfortable with them, that you think that they're your girl, maybe they're even staying with you, that kind of thing. And then there's a tragedy. Their mom's in the hospital, their kids in the hospital, their sisters in the hospital. I need 10,000 pesos, or I need to pay my college tuition, or something. Like whenever they start asking you for money, like you realize, oh, I guess I'm with somebody who wants money from me. The best way to do it when you start the relationship is never, ever, ever base anything on money except like a coffee date. That's it. It's like, look, you want to go out? Like, let's go for coffee. I'll buy you lunch. It's on me. And then during the coffee date, you set the ground rules. Look, I'm happy to meet with you. Thanks for taking the time. You know what? I'll even pay for your taxi. Appreciate the time you spent. Time is valuable. Time's more valuable than money in some ways, because you know how much money you got. You know how much money you can make, but you never know that about time. You don't know how much time you have in the bank. So when you spend it, yeah, you can't get that back. So first date, I'm always just sort of like, yeah, we'll do coffee. Nothing too fancy. There's not going to be no steak dinners. There's going to be nothing like that. I'll buy a coffee or Danish or whatever, and let's chat. And then during that chat, I have the conversation like, yeah, I'm looking to meet someone nice. I'm looking to meet someone that I don't have to support like a child. I don't want a child, wife. I want a partner. What kind of work do you do? What plans you have for the future? How do you support yourself now? Where you live? Oh, my family. I'm the breadwinner. Breadwinner is not always a good thing. Breadwinner means that there's parasites living on them, basically. A family of parasites sucking them dry. Breadwinner is a huge responsibility in the Philippines. But I love those parasites. They're my family.
How are you?
So you start the relationship, and I'll tell them, I'm like, yeah, we can go out again, but like I said, it's just a date. So if you want to go out, we're splitting everything. Like if you want to steak dinner, we're splitting dinner. Like it's not on me anymore. Like you're not my girlfriend, you're not my wife. And if they're just like, then you know that they're only in it for free dinners. Now, granted, there's nothing wrong with free dinners. You don't have to go for a steak dinner. I used to have girlfriends when I traveled here for work. Like I was here for a month. I would just set up dates. I'd be like, look, I don't even care if we become girlfriend, boyfriend. Let me just buy a dinner. I don't want to go to dinner alone. I'm working here and I'm busy a lot. So I would just bring girls in and be like, let me buy you dinner. And get to know them. And if I like them, then maybe we'd have dinner again. Or maybe we'd go out that weekend. And sometimes I'd buy them dinner and they'd be like, do you mind if I stay in your hotel room till you get back from work? And I'd be like, no. and then dinner would lead to sex. Like there's so many things and so many ways to go. But some of those girls would end up heartbroken when I left. And then they'd be texting me for months while I was back in the States. And then they'd be like, the other thing that they like to say is, just give me a mixed baby. And we just went through this with a bro of mine. Like, it's like, you don't have to take care of him. You don't have to do anything. Just give me a mixed baby. It's like, oh my God.
Then once
It's
you
like,
have a mixed baby, that's the control stuff.
well, yeah, but once you have that, there's no, what's that called? There's no parent support, child support. There's no child support laws here.
There is.
No, there's not.
Is.
No, there is not.
Oh, you go to tofu. You see.
Oh, I have to ask Rafi
20%
Tofu.
of your salary, you must.
So now it's 30% of the salary?
I think 20.
20%.
24, something like that.
All right. Well, I don't have a salary, so sorry.
Still.
20% is 0, honey. What have you found the easiest way to meet a good penis? So yeah, you have to vet her, and you have to like lay the rules down for her. You have to make sure that you're not feeding into her thing that's like, I want the money. And then when it comes down to the point, I've said this on other live streams, and I tell this to guys that when I do consulting, I want you to be my girlfriend, honey. We've been going out for a couple of weeks. I really like you. Why don't you move in with me? Whatever. Let me see your phone. What do you mean? I'd like to see the password of your phone and the password of your apps and even your email. Like, I want to see everything. I want to see everyone you've been talking to since you've been dating me. And if they tell you no, then you say, okay, well, if you don't have transparency and you can't trust me to see what you're up to, then bye. I'm not dating you. Goodbye. And then they'll be like, no, give me your phone. And you'll be like, okay, here's my phone, honey. Check it out. See who I've been talking to. I got nothing to hide. I'm just dating you. Yeah, have I dated other girls? Sure. I probably even told you about them. If they are hiding shit from you, if they're not willing to turn over their phone, their passwords, their emails, all that shit, for you to like feel comfortable that you can trust them and that they haven't been lying to you, then you burn them out fast. That's it. Full transparency. Psh, that easy. All right, what else we got here? What country do I go to when your visa expires? I go to Thailand. Is it hard to set up a local bank account? It's next to impossible. The only way they let me set them up. Do you have a question? Oh, the only way they let me set them up is because I was working here for a Filipino company on a work permit. So they have to give you a bank account so you can do payroll. You can turn that light off, by the way, if you want. Okay. But now they will not let you open a bank account on a tourist visa. Like, they just don't do it anymore. Are credit cards easily accessible? Absolutely not. No, it's even harder than opening a bank account. I mean, they want like 3 years of pay stubs. They want like a permanent residence. They want like a bank account. It's really hard to get a credit card here. Even for a local, it's hard to get a credit card here.
For me.
Right.
If you don't have you don't have a statement for for
right.
3 months
like
straight.
Our income, it doesn't come in on pay stubs. Like, our income comes in through consulting, investments, right, stream, money transfers. It usually goes through U.S. bank accounts before it comes here. So it's not, and there's no pay stub. What else do we got?
You want me to wash your
Bible time. Baby? Yeah, well, you can wash anything you want. When we were there February, March, things are pretty slow on POGOs. Has it picked up since? Well, it depends on the night of the week. I find that in general, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is pretty slow on POGOs. Now that Neon has closed, Neon was sort of like the midweek party spot. Like, you could go in there on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and it would be bumping. Now on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, the only thing that's going to pop in the Burgos area is going to be either a strip bar or after hours, which is Secret Door. And that's not going to pop until like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So has it picked up? Not really. The weekends are out of control, almost everywhere. But the other thing about February, March is that's sort of summertime. That's summer. That's the beginning of summer. So there's probably a lot of people out of Manila that time of year. I know we were out of Manila. Like, I think we spent all of March. We spent 5 weeks at the beach. So people definitely leave the Manila area in that time of year. February, March, April, a lot of people go back to the province. Late in the discussion, hey, no worries, you can watch the replay of this. The older ladies go to Africa. Oh, really? Well, that's why they don't come here. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's a good point. Because I was saying earlier, you see a lot of, it's always the discussion, whether it's a Reddit, whether it's on comments, whether it's in a vlog. Older foreigners with young Filipinas, and it's usually old, fat, fucked up foreigners with young Filipinas, young, hot Filipinas, right? And, oh, you're pervs. Oh, it's disgusting. Oh, it's all about money. But recently, I've been seeing older foreign women with young Filipino guys, and like, I just kind of think it's funny to flip the discussion and then to ask the question, which is, well, why isn't it that way? Why is it always older men, younger women, and not older women, younger men? Like, in other words, what is wrong, lacking, or not appealing about a young Filipino man to an older Caucasian woman, whereas older Caucasian men are very attracted, interested, or find young women appealing? Is it because they're in menopause and sex isn't important to them? I don't know. I mean, some guys, maybe sex isn't important to them either. They could have that ED thing going on. I really don't know, but I just started wondering about it. We talked about it earlier. Thank you for the kick in, though. I have an idea why they go to Africa. A 1 hour coffee date is the best way to vet a woman. I agree. Save money, see if you like her in the shortest amount of time all at once. And usually it's right down the street from where you live. And you can ask her the questions that are important that'll lead to a second date or not. I totally agree. Like, I never, like, every now and then, like, we'll invite a girl out. Like, if we're gonna be out and we know we have got like a bottle here or there, like, I'll invite a girl out. I'm like, why don't you join us? But what ends up happening then is when they're like us, to like, who's us? I'm like, me, my girlfriend, a couple of guys. And they're like, yeah, no thanks. But sometimes the girls are into it. Good age gap. I think our age gap is,
Half.
yeah, I'm actually a little older than twice her age. So that's 25 years. I think 20. I mean, in America, my age gap was usually about 10 years. I either dated within 5 to 10 years younger or 5 to 10 years older. Here, I've always dated 20 to 25 years younger. And it's for the most part worked out really good. I haven't been able to date older, mostly because the women are too damn busy with their kids or their job. Like, it's like they're either career women or they got like kids that they're dealing with, or both. Opening up a bank account with Bank Commerce is the easiest solution here in the Philippines. You can open up with a tourist visa. Oh, really? Bank of Commerce. That's a good pickup. Thank you, PJ. I am in Manila. I would never live in Angeles. I wouldn't say never, but I wouldn't want to live in Angeles. What you found is cheaper, having a girlfriend or fooling around with ladies. Well, you got to remember the ladies that I fool around with, and I did fool around a lot for a long time. It was just dating, and a lot of those datings were like you date once, and then the next thing you know, like, you don't really date a lot. You just end up spending time together. So like, we go out on a date, and then the next time it's like, hey, just come back to my place. I'll cook dinner, or we'll get takeout, or we'll watch Netflix or something. Like, yeah, I used to do that. Depending on how you date and what your girlfriend does, it is all like, if your girlfriend doesn't make money and you have to support her entirely, and she's humble and doesn't have many needs, then it can be cheaper to have a girlfriend. Like, when we were living together, when she wasn't working, I would have had to pay my own rent, my own electric, my own water. I had to pay that shit anyway. So it was fine that she didn't pay it or contribute to it. We were locked down. There was no place to go. There was no money, no place to spend money except the store. We did all our own cooking. We couldn't travel. It was insanely cheap to have a girlfriend. It was like free, you know. The only thing we had to buy was groceries and necessities. When I got smart about dating, most of my dates were just coffee dates, or just like local places for dinner. You know, like I don't go to fancy joints. Um, I, I would say, I mean, if you have a girlfriend with a daughter, then you're going to have greater expenses. Like when I was dating my second girlfriend here, I was raising her daughter. I paid for her daughter's private school. I was going to adopt the daughter. Like those, that was an expense. So probably it's going to be a mix depending on how your girlfriend rolls. But I guarantee you, thank you. I guarantee you, if you're paying to play with them, that's going to be more expensive. Good morning from BGC, JJ.
JJ?
No, another JJ.
Oh, not JJ.
Uh, you charge for your time to meet up for an advisory talk, culture goes. Yes, I do. I do consultations, and my consultation will be straight up. And I don't really put much of a time limit on it. I mean, technically, I say it's 45 US an hour, but I also give a free consultation to top tier channel members. So, uh, having issues editing vlogs. What software do you use? I started using iMovie, and I used iMovie for the first year or two and liked it a lot and did some cool stuff with it. Now I am firmly married to Final Cut Pro 10, I guess. Do anything in Final Cut. Like I don't do half of what I could do in Final Cut. Oh, you are cool. Like, gee, I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. I think age gap here depends on the maturity of the Filipina. Yes, and that's a completely separate subject unto its own, because you've got something called emotional intelligence and you've got something called emotional maturity. So, and this is, I was going to do a complete, I don't know if it was a video about this or a series or whatever, but you see these like Filipinas out there making these videos like Filipina girlfriend problems. It's like, I'm like, what a crock of shit. Let me just like say that right there. You don't have Filipina girlfriend problems. You have woman problems. You have girlfriend problems. You have a narcissist problem. Your girlfriend is a narcissist or she's not. Your girlfriend is a manipulator or she's not. Your girlfriend is punishing you or she's not. Those are behavioral traits, and they're not limited to Filipinas. However, I will say you may have Filipina girlfriend environmental problems, which is different. Some of that's cultural, and most of it has to do with the fact that they were raised hard. They had a hard upbringing, which means they're probably more mature in a lot of ways. Okay. They're probably a little more grateful and appreciative in a lot of ways. At least I know she was. But they might have also been abused, and not in a good way. And that means that they have some repressed issues and they have some emotional trauma, and they haven't had the ability to work through the emotional trauma. So they use behavioral mechanisms to get through it. So one of the behavioral mechanisms is to withhold love. And the primary method of withholding love is what they call tampo, which is withholding communication. So when you withhold affection, communication with somebody, that is actually classified as verbal abuse. So verbal abuse isn't just browbeating, isn't just yelling at somebody, isn't just, you know, calling them names or putting them down or gaslighting them. Verbal abuse is withholding communication. So when you see those behaviors, you know you're dealing with someone that is either immature and hasn't been coached and managed effectively, or someone that's just a narcissist. So like when you sit down with them and you're like, look, obviously, you know, there's an upset here. Obviously, you've been, you know, you found this, you were reactive to this. You reacted like this. It was hurtful. Can we have a conversation about it? If they're open and willing to have a conversation and move past it, then they're workable. It's a very deep subject, actually. Not that you guys don't know that, but Dating 2030 issue. Most want marriage. How do you handle this when the discussion comes up? Okay, so you handle that on the first date.
But you won't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Look, when I met her, I knew I wanted to marry Filipina. Okay, like I knew I wanted to meet the right Filipina to marry her. Okay, so when I meet a Filipina and I say, hey, look, I want to let you know when it comes to long term plans, I'm not. I'm open to marriage, and I'm open to marrying a Filipina, but I am not open to having children. I'm way past middle age, and I don't think I want to have kids. Now, her and I may be a little different because we ended up buying a property in the province, the coconut farm, like retiring there. Like I might need a couple of rugrats to dig up coconut trees for me and shit. In a couple of years, so like, and not that I wouldn't want to have a kid. Like I tried to adopt a Filipina here, like I tried to adopt my ex's child, like, but you cover that stuff early on. It's like you either know you want to get married or you don't. If you're against marriage, and you could just be like, look, yeah, I used to tell girls this. I'd be like, we can get married in America. We're not going to get married in the Philippines because there's no divorce in the Philippines.
Actually, there is not
No,
divorce, but
there's no
it's
divorce. It's the
still
annulment. It's hell. You
similar
don't
to
want to do that.
annulment.
And you can tell them, okay, yeah, I'm open to marriage, but I want a prenup, and I want to get married in America, not in the Philippines. Or you tell them the opposite. Yeah, I want to get married, but only in the Philippines, and I want a prenup, and not in America. And that will handle all of your issues around the marriage conversation. You either straight up look, nope, not into marriage. Love to have a partner, don't want to make it legal. Been there, done that, lost everything. Maybe I consider it if we were together for 5 years or more, and you prove to me that you're loyal and there's complete transparency in the relationship, and you sign a prenup. Sure, I'm open to marriage. But set the expectations right out from the beginning. Good morning from Siargao. Philly, you're in Siargao, bro. Ryan, welcome to the stream, man. Some guy was talking about the haunted like Clark Hospital earlier or something, and it made me think of you. Still want to get up there and check that out. How long should I stay in BGC or Makati to see if I like it long enough to move here?
Some people only one day. That's some the tour we have.
No, you need
oh my god, I want to come back.
Here's the thing. It's a great lifestyle here, but you got to be here a while before you start hitting the headaches.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, oh shit, I got to pay my bills. Now that's a pain in the ass. Oh, having a problem with my lease or my aircon maintenance, or you try to get your driver's license converted and it takes you a whole day, and you got to go out to Quezon City and it's a pain in the ass. And they told you they needed this paperwork on the website, but actually you need this paperwork, and now you got to come back to Quezon City, and that's a whole 2 days. And it's like, I mean, it's a third world bureaucracy here. Like, you're going to have to suck up crap, and some guys can handle it and some guys can't. And you're going to go to the market and be like, oh, I'm going to make tacos tonight. And they're like, there's no cheese, there's no shells, and they ran out of beef. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, it's a wonderful city to live in. BGC is a wonderful city to live in. If you got the finances and you're not on a tight budget, it's going to be great. How long will it take? Give it a month, minimum of a month, but not just like a month. Like, I'd stay in BGC for a month, and just because sometimes you're like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great. And after like 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, this is the same old shit. I'm bored. Like the city's only 15 minutes this way, 20 minutes that way. Like, you can walk across it in 20 minutes. Other guys are like, all right, I like to live in BGC, but I like to chill in Makati because it's a little more culturally diverse. It's a little less sterile. But I went through a period too where I'm like, oh, are we going to the same old fucking nightclub bullshit again? Like, I didn't want to go to Royal anymore. I'm like, been there, done that 100 times. Like,
yeah, but when you're there,
but then I'm there and I'm like, they're like, you want a drink? I'm like, yeah.
You
I mean,
won't really know until
it takes
you're
a little
there.
while, man. Like, dude, I was here a year before, like, I really feel like I started to get a clue. And I had a pretty good girlfriend that sort of that looped me in, 1 to 3 months. And in that 1 to 3 months, take a weekend and hit a beach, hit a Boracay or hit a Siargao or hit even go Puerto Galera. Like, that's what makes the Philippines great, is the fact that you can, like, you know what? I can get on a bus. 2 hours later, I'm going to be on a ferry. 2 hours after that, I'm on the beach. Like, that's what makes the Philippines great. In case you guys didn't know, Philly in the Philippines is in the chat here. He's the guy that runs a big blog out of Angeles City. Some of you guys were talking about Angeles earlier. He's the guy to talk to. Or just check out his videos. Ton of videos. I'm not an Angeles guy, but I like to watch his videos, so I kind of get a feel of what actually living in Angeles would be like. What about dating a Pina with kids? My second girlfriend here had a beautiful young daughter. She was 5 years old. I loved her, God, with all my heart. I tried to adopt her. I put her to school. I raised her for 3 years. I still think about her to this day. I would date a Filipino with a young child. If you were thinking about raising that child, it could be an incredibly rewarding experience. But you're probably going to have to consider that as an expense. And like they say with a business, you think you're going to invest $1, you're actually, so for every $1 you think you need to invest, plan on $10. That's how you have to enter that situation. What are your red and green flags when you screw a new lady? Good question. um, what are your red and green flags when you meet a new lady or screw a new lady? So normally, red flag number one is, will you wear a condom? Okay, because Filipinos just notoriously don't like condoms. They don't wear condoms. Like, they hate. They'll even tell you, "I'm not gonna have sex with you if you wear a condom." Like, that one's kind of hard to get around. That's not really a red or a green flag. I think that's a cultural thing, but you kind of want to go with a girl that's interested in wearing a condom. At least until you guys are exclusive. And then that takes the vetting process, and that's a whole nother discussion. But that's not a red flag. Is asking for money. Like, what do you mean? Like, I want to come see you, but I don't have a job, and you have to pay for my taxi. Okay, well, if it's, I don't know, 150 pesos either way, that's fine. If you live in Cavite and it's 500 pesos each way, well, maybe that's not fine. No, I'm not paying for your taxi, honey. You're grown. You're grown. Figure it out. You won't come see me? Look, I'll buy you dinner. We can chill, whatever. I'm not your daddy. Uh, Green flags. It's not even like, I would say green flag is someone that when they tell, if you say, hey, yeah, come meet me in my hotel lobby, they're like, fuck that. I'm not going to meet you at your hotel. What do you think? I'm a hooker? Like, a girl that won't go to your hotel, that's a green flag. Like, she knows that she suspects that you're in the game of getting her to your hotel room, and she doesn't want that. She wants a date. Uh, a girl that says, take me to a steakhouse. A girl that says, I want to go to, I don't know, Wolfgang's, right? It's like, well, okay, well, great. Let's go to Wolfgang's. But you know what, honey? It's out of my budget. So you want to go to Wolfgang's, you can either pay for me or we can split it. And see what she says, like a red flag. I'm not for free. And they'll tell you that straight up. Oh, I just want fun. Red flag, red flag. Fun means fuck me for money here. Like, there's no other way around it. Um, Another red flag. Oh, I'll just meet you at your hotel. Absolutely not, honey. I don't know you. You're not coming back to my house, right? So the green flag is she doesn't come back to your hotel. The red flag is she asks you to go to the hotel. You got to feel it out, man. You just got to feel it out. Like, there's nothing wrong with paying for a taxi to go meet her on a coffee date. Like, but if it's every single time, no. If she doesn't leave in the morning, that could be a red flag. That was the other thing. Like, she was just like, if you're gonna go take care of business, she's like, don't do it here, because I don't need a chick hanging around the house all day, like asking me to cook food for her and like fuck around. It's like, get out of my space. I got to clean the room. It's like there's shit going on. We got a life. Don't hang around my house all day. Like if you don't have a life and you don't have anything better to do than sit around my place or my condo or wait for me to bang you again, well, I mean, for some guys, maybe that's a green flag, but for me, I was just like, no, go home. Although there was a time where I was like, no, I am happy to have you stay. But that was, years ago. If you only stay in the BGC bubble, you will get bored eventually. But Makati is only 10 minutes away, and there's a completely different vibe. Yep, I agree with that. I just shot a whole video on that. Actually, I shoot a lot of videos about that. So many so that the guys were busting me in the comments, and they're like, "Oh, this is the guy that complains about BGC being small and boring when he spends all his time partying with hookers in Makati." I'm like, bro, what? Like, what is it that makes you think I'm partying with hookers? Like, yeah, okay, so I party with girls. Doesn't mean they're hookers.
Who say that, baby?
Some idiots on my channel. I don't know.
When?
I don't know. The other day, a week ago, something. Annulment is not hell. It's 3 years to work it out. I don't know about you, bro, but 3 years is hell. Fuck that.
Actually, 5 years.
It could take 3 to 5 years, she says, and I've heard, and it's expensive, and like, who needs that? Like, no, absolutely not. I looked into annulment. No.
They said 500,000 pesos.
That's hell, bro.
Like just some process, and you still have to.
Like, why? Why even go down that road? Like, why are you dating a married woman in a country where divorce is not legal? Like, no, there's plenty of fish in the sea.
Maybe it's worth it for them.
What is the minimum budget to live in BGC in pesos, single bloke, and dates? Okay, so I would say your food, your rent, and your utilities, you got to budget 1,000 US. Straight up. Okay? And your transportation, you could probably fit in there. Anything else on top of that is your dating. So 1,500 minimum, 2,000. 2,000 is a good figure. You're going to be on a budget dating at 2,000, unless you're bringing her to coffee houses. But like if you want to go out once or twice a month and get a bottle in a club or hit a nice spot for dinner. And when I say nice spot, like the Cow Kai Chicken House on Ebro Street in Poblacion, Makati is a shitty little hole in the wall restaurant that doesn't even have aircon, and it's got great food for like $5 or $6 a plate. So you can go to me, that's a nice place. The food is good and it's cheap. That's a nice place. I don't need to go to Dr. Wine, which is also a wonderful place. And the food is fantastic, but it's like $14 for a hamburger. I mean, it's a wonderful Wagyu burger. Don't get me wrong. But $14 for a hamburger, bro, this is the Philippines. I get a Wagyu burger for like $5 here at Big Belly, Sorry, I got distracted there. I got off my list, by the way, but I don't mind if you don't mind. I mean, you're asking questions, so I'll hit those up first. That's what I would say, man. You need 1,000, 800 to 1,000 for your bills, utilities, your transportation, your food. You need another 500 on top of that for minimum dating, and then tack another 500 onto that just because shit's gonna fuck up. It's the Philippines. Something's always gonna mess up. So 1,500 to 2,000 minimum for BGC. Now we live right outside of BGC, and you can cut that in half. We moved from Angeles City a few months ago and now living on Sugar. Oh, you guys, I didn't know. I haven't been watching a lot of YouTube. I was saying earlier, what was I saying? That I only watch like homesteading videos and like primitive build videos and like construction videos on YouTube because I'm a carpenter by trade, and we're actually looking to move to Visayas when I retire, a couple of years probably still. because we bought a coconut farm down there, and that her family traditionally had farmed coconuts, and that's what I'll end up doing is going down there and building off grid, like houses and solar and all that stuff. But just to live in, like we'll just grow coconuts and I'll build greenhouses and all that good stuff. But share guy, I'll catch up on your channel, man. That's very interesting, because you were like the Angeles guy for the longest time. The bureaucracy is a great reason to use a visa agent and not paying much more than the fast lane fee. Well, I don't use a visa agent. I don't know what they would cost. And you don't always need to use the fast lane fee. You need to use the fast lane fee if you want to renew at a certain level. Okay. So if and when they still offer the 6-month visa, you will need to pay the fast lane fee. If you are late renewing your visa, you will need to pay the fast lane fee. If you go in normally, you will not need to pay the fast lane fee, but you'll need to come back in 2 to 3 days to pick up your passport. So the question is the $1,200 or $20 fast lane fee worth it? I mean, shit, I'm shopping at up there in BGC. I'm like, I'll just run up to the immigration. I'll fill out a form or two. It's not a hassle for me. But I also look at all expenses. I track everything. Like, why would I spend 1,000 pesos, on an agent when I could do it myself? Where is a good island to explore with less expats? Is Bohol a good option and close to Cebu? Well, Bohol is very close to Cebu. Cebu is like the jump off spot for Bohol. I hear it's got fantastic beaches. It's got some interesting spots. It's a big island. If you go there, I mean, you can do the day tour. It's going to cost you 5,000 pesos, and they're going to drive you to all the spots. The Tarsher Sanctuary, the Chocolate Hills, the Snake Pit, whatever. I don't know. Are you going to see the beaches? No. Should you go there and rent a bike and drive around? Then yeah, Bohol is great. I would say go explore Siquijor Island. Siquijor Island's fantastic. Rent a bike, big enough to drive around, a lot of stuff to see, tons of waterfalls, beaches, voodoo stuff. Like, it's cool. Philly, who's on the stream, would probably recommend Siargao. Personally, I think Bantayan Island north of Cebu is fantastic for exploring, and great beaches. I mean, or Puerto Galera, even like Mindoro Oriental, man. That is a huge island. There's the I forget what they call it. There's a lot of little islands there. Or you know what? I lived on Panay Island for an entire summer. Panay is massive. It's like, it's got everything from Iloilo to Aklan and Cataclan and all jump off ports to Boracay. Like, someone's been pinging the hell out of me. Hold on. Why am I getting pinged? She's here, so it's not her. Give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute. Normally, I really only look at it if I'm expecting a call, have plans to go out, or she's not here. What else we got here? I see Pina are more affectionate. Is it normal? Oh, God, yeah. Filipinos are incredibly physical and intimate people. They're very affectionate. She's super affectionate. And that also sometimes means clingy, which also sometimes means jealous, which talk about that whole emotional maturity, emotional insecurity thing too. Like, luckily she doesn't have a jealous bone in her body. But then again, we have a sort of interesting dynamic. My ex before her was the most insane, jealous woman could ever psycho imagine in my life. Bohol is being overrun by Koreans. Oh, I didn't know that. But there's a direct flight, because there's a direct flight from Seoul now. I heard Angeles is being overrun by Koreans. And I know they have a huge Korean town there now. Don't forget, a red flag for some is a lot of fun. For for some also. Nothing better than the first days in Southeast Asia. Sometimes those green flag girls are boring as hell. Yeah, yeah. But like, what do you want a girl in your life for? Like sometimes she's boring as hell, but she's amazing and she's exciting and she's vibrant and she's playing some days. Like our life isn't always super exciting. Um, I'm trying to think if I ever had a it's not the Philippine. Like I've had fantastic Filipina girlfriends. I mean, wealthy women, property owners, like big properties, multiple cars, like incredible jobs, like families that are like building hospitals, like really connected people, and they were intelligent and they had fantastic educations and their English was spectacular and they made me nuts. They made me crazy. They drove me bats and bored the hell out of me. Like it just I don't know. Give me a simple province girl any day of the week. So here's my secret to success. So it took me a while to learn this. You need to meet a province girl that hasn't been spoiled or corrupted. And I mean that she hasn't been living in Manila with witch bitch ass girlfriends that are telling her how to snake a foreigner, and or she hasn't been corrupted by foreigners. So when I first met her, she was 20 years old. I thought she was 25. And she had literally just come from the province to live with her family here to go to school. I was the first foreigner that she'd ever met in person. And from the first date, we practically spent every moment together for the next 5 years. And then, like 5 years later, like a year or two later, I'm like, "Happy birthday!" I'm like, "The big 21," and or I'm like, "You're 20, the big 26 years old," or whatever it was. She's like, "No, I'm 21." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like 5 years later, she's 25, and I'm like, "You know what? It's all good." Although, quite honestly, it was a little hard to break her of some immature shit earlier on. She was good about it, but it wasn't until she hit 25 that she literally, like, it was almost like a switch, like her brain like changed or something. And I was reading somewhere that said that the brain still develops up until the age of 25, but yeah, she chilled out, vetted her, and broke her in, so to speak, and now everything's good. Yeah, you don't want a girl that has a high body count. You don't want a girl that's been around. You don't want a girl that's had 3, 4, or more foreigner boyfriends. You don't want to go that route. Feared a line from a girlfriend. Oh, hey, Steven from Australia. Welcome, bro. I don't know where she went. Is tourist visa the cheapest option? Oh yeah, it's like $300 a year, $350. Tourist visa ends up being about $1 a day, but you're gonna have to keep flying to Thailand every year or two. First time on the stream. Watch many videos. Thanks, appreciate that. If you see any life family events that would cause you to move back to the USA, no, I really don't. Uh, I'm in the Philippines for the long haul. And the USA, like I was saying earlier, it's being destroyed systematically, purposefully destroyed. Like I can't do woke like that, man. Could I cope living in a fan room? I lived in a fan room for years here, and there's a certain time of year it was, it was unbearable. But yeah, it was fine. Especially if you're living in like somewhere where there's a breeze, Puerto Galera or wherever. Like here, we have tons of giant windows and double doors that open out onto roof decks and stuff. So like we open the windows a lot, and just let the breeze blow through. And the place where we had in Puerto Galera, same thing. The breeze just blew through there. And my place in BGC, like we got it so the windows on one side. You want windows that open like this, not like this, if you know what I mean. And if you get the windows that open like normal windows, or normal windows, and then you have like a roof deck or a porch on the other side that has a door that opens. Breeze just blows through your condo. That was the other thing about renting in BGC. Like, if you don't have the right windows or the right location of the building for your condo, you're going to be running your aircon 24/7. What is a popular message app? WhatsApp and Messenger. Facebook is the largest user of Messenger in the world. Puerto Galera is good for a couple, not for a single guy. It's too boring. I wouldn't say that. I lived in Puerto Galera for a long time, and I couldn't get my girlfriend at the time was estranged from me. She was pissed off, and I kept saying just like chill the fuck out and get on a goddamn boat and come down here. She wouldn't come, and I had a lot of fun. I met girls every weekend there. I mean, I didn't date anyone locally. I will say that in that respect, it was tough. Like the girls that live there, they don't want to date you unless they know you live there and they know you're solid. Otherwise, it's sabang girls, which are essentially bar girls, and or the girls that visit every weekend and they are happy to party. Uh, but for the most part, yeah, like unless you got game and unless you're like out and social, you probably would get a little bored living in Puerto, or unless you're there on like a mission, like you got your work and you're in on the beach every day. Like I swim 5 kilometers a day. That's my thing. I love swimming. Like I'll go out there. Like I'm like, give me sun. Let me do my push-ups and get my time in the water, and I'm happy. What's up? Say hi. This is my new peeps on the stream. This stream's going on a little longer than I
Hello.
thought. I totally got off my list. I had a subject, frustrations, desires, fears, but I'm taking questions now, which is better. I think better for the discussion.
We've been taking question earlier.
Be to the Philippines 7 times back in January. Awesome, man. JJ, Korean families are going to Pangalao, Bohol, and Korean men going to Angeles City. Ah, I see. That makes sense. Golden rule: how soon do you move in a Pina? Dude, there is no golden rule. Um, but there's stuff that you want to consider. If you're moving her in, is that because she has nothing else to do and no job and no life? So does that mean you're like literally moving in a dependent? Now, are you moving in someone that also works in BGC and her lease is up and she's like, hey, you know what? I like you. We're dating. Do you want to move in together? Yeah, sure. Let's try my place for a year. Whatever. I moved her in like a week. you Now, granted, she still had to go home like once or twice a week, for family stuff, but when she started working again, like we were both working in BGC, so it was convenient for us to live in BGC. And luckily, I did move her in because it was like 2 months after we met, 3 months after we met, we got locked down. And if we hadn't been
We
living
didn't really
together,
discuss about it. We didn't really talk about it. It was
yeah,
just
it
like,
wasn't like I said, baby, come live with me. Like we just spent all our time together. And I told her, I'm
and
like,
then lucky I didn't go home that week.
yeah, like she was
Because
living.
we went to Puerto Galera at
Yeah,
that time.
we went to Puerto Galera like a week before lockdown. And then she's been living in my place like for a week or two after that. And then they locked down and they wouldn't let her out. So I'm like, oh, I guess you live here now. But I did want her to stay with me. Like there was no doubt. That's a good question, man. Like the answer to that question is how soon do you vet her? Like you don't move anyone in unless you, like I said this before, like, oh, you want to be exclusive? You want to be in a relationship with me? Let me see your phone. What do you mean? Give me the password of your phone. And you know what? While you're at it, your email too. And then you spend an hour or 2 or 3 looking for through her phone. And if you find anything you don't like, well, then it's like she's either transparent and trusts you and is going to let you see her phone, or she's not. If she's not going to let you see her phone, you really want her living with you, vet her first. So the golden rule isn't how soon do you move her in. The golden rule is how soon do you vet her and how you vet her. New to the Phils, what you think I should do for the first year? What list you recommend? Dude, I would just say get a cheap little spot that you're comfortable in and travel around. Like, go see all the nice little islands, go see the mountains, spend some time at the beach, uh, meet people, join, like some join dating sites, join foreigner chat groups, like meet people, go out, see the city, understand the culture, learn the language, get the Pimsleur method, like gusto ko matutong malalang Tagalog, like learn to speak deep Tagalog. Ano?
Wala. Your accent kasi.
Yeah, my accent. Uh, I don't know. Take a look at the playlist on my channel. Like, look at my backpacking the Philippines, playlist. There's just so much to do here, man. Those higher end relationships are boring and too straight laced for most guys. I agree with that. Been married to a good girl for 10 years, and it's not much fun. It's like being in like a power couple. It's like, okay, maybe. So yeah, she's pretty fun. There's days that you're absolutely unmotivated and plain as hell and boring and blah blah blah. Don't want to do shit.
I'm just a
It
human
is
being.
normal, right? Actually, I'm not the same way. But for the most part, she's pretty fun.
Who said I'm fun?
I said you're fun.
Oh.
What about a Pina that has tattoos? Your thoughts? Well, at
I
first.
have a comment for that.
Oh, what do you have to say?
When we met, do you have that?
Did I ask you that, or did you ask me that?
Yes, you asked. And then only after a week, you find out. Yeah, I had tattoo.
I think I found out on the first night.
I did not answer when you asked.
No, I'm joking. I saw it.
Oh, you said.
Show him the tattoo.
It's too small.
That's it.
And
so when I think about a tattoo, something like that's acceptable. Okay, if she's got like titty tattoos, absolutely not. I've never been a titty tattoo guy. It doesn't have anything to do with being a Pina or not. A woman that has a neck tattoo, God forbid she has a face tattoo.
it's a beautiful.
Some girls look incredibly sexy with a sleeve or a half sleeve, and it's done tastefully well, and it's fine. But if she's got like these shitty little tattoos, like randomly all over the place, or like a crappy looking big blotchy leg tattoo or something, to me that just I don't like it. And I'm not saying it makes her trashy. A lot of guys say tattooed girls are trashy, and you know what? I know a lot of trashy tattooed girls. Like, don't get me wrong.
It's beautiful though.
My thought is stay away from heavily tattooed Filipinas.
Why?
I thought I just explained that. Now it's different. If they're tribal tattoos, if she's from Kalinga, and our tattoos came from a Mambabatok, 100-year-old centenarian, like that's cultural. Like there's exceptions to every rule. If the tattoos are tasteful, if they're symmetrical, if they're minimal, if they're easily hidden by clothes, I think that's acceptable. Do you like Ortigas Greenfield district? I actually used to live right next to Greenfield at the SM Light condos in Mandaluyong, Ortigas, actually. Do I like it? Sure. Is it a party zone? Not for me. It's a very Pinoy-oriented environment. You get a lot of call center people that go there. There's one strip next to Greenfield, which is a high-end strip. It's kind of like it borders one of the malls there, and it's kind of like the BGC. I'm there all the time, Forbestown area. But it's not big, it's not comprehensive. It's just like this little area that's convenient. Do I like to live in? I didn't like living there because it was on EDSA and it was loud and it was polluted. Although I dated a girl that lived behind that condo in I think it's the Pine Point condos, and her condo was nice. It was cute. It was quiet, and it wasn't on EDSA. It was an okay area, and it's cheaper, and it's not too far from anywhere you'd want to go. It's just that some time of day, the traffic there will be horrendous. Uh, Damien met me an octopus and took pictures. We were drunk. Awesome. That's the way to go. What a surprise. I was drunk. Thought of staying in Davao. You been there? I'm told it's boring. Never been there and not going there. It's Mindanao. Mindanao, I know they say Davao is safe and Davao is the safest place in Mindanao, but Mindanao is a Muslim region and it is essentially a terrorist region. There was a civil war going on there 4 years ago. Marawi was a war zone. I mean, they were dropping bombs and shooting people in the streets. People get kidnapped in Mindanao, and the U.S. government disavows U.S. citizens from going there. So if you go there at your own risk. You go there, and your insurance is null and void. Like if you get captured, you're done. Like, so no, I've never been to Davao. Wouldn't go to Davao. I have a friend that goes to Davao. He says he likes it. He likes the girls there. Apparently, it's better. Girls are less corrupt girls. So I was talking about that province sort of vibe girl. But I mean, if you're an open-minded, regular Western dude, do you want to be dating a Muslim person? Like, I don't know. I only know one Muslim, and he's a nice guy. But his dating and wifey kind of mindset is completely different than mine. Um, Columbus of Manila. Wow, that's a first. Appreciate that. But good morning. Yes, it is still morning here. Uh, Tell us about weed. Easiness to score, danger, quality, price. Okay, I can tell you that. Go to Thailand. Easy as fuck to score, pretty cheap, and completely legal. If you want weed, go to Thailand. Don't mess with it in the Philippines. Just be smart. Please be smart. Uh, it is hard to score, but if you know the right person, it's easy. But you're risking everything. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. Uh, what was the other question there? Weed, easiness to score, danger, quality, risk. So quality is good, especially the pens. Like the THC pens are just fucking next level. But it's like that in Thailand again too. And danger. So danger level is high. Don't do it. Okay. Um, yeah, if you get busted with that, you're not only are you in jail, but you're out of the country, probably forever. Who needs that? Uh, but then again, depends on where you live. Like if you live in Kalinga, they grow the stuff there, and you can buy it easily and smoke it in the village. So it just depends on where you live. But my advice is, if you want weed, go to Thailand. I think like 6 years ago, it was the death penalty, dude. The death penalty for weed. That's the danger level here. Now it's probably just life in prison. Easiest way you have hit to get to Puerto Galera. I found it a hassle. It is a hassle to get to Puerto Galera. I mean, a minor hassle. It's a Philippines, so just about everything's a hassle. Uh, the easiest way is to rent a car or to rent a driver that takes you there, and then you rent a private boat to take you there. That's the easiest way. It's also the most expensive way. I made a couple of how to get to Puerto Galera videos, and I think it's relatively easy. It just takes a little while if you don't have the ferry timing down right. And the ferry timing can be hard to get down right because the website is shit and they don't always match the schedules that are on the website. And even if you call them, they could give you wrong information because it's the Philippines and that's how we do it here. So, I mean, geez, we get a grab, 200 pesos, take us over to Buendia bus station in Makati. We get a bus for another 250 pesos. I don't even think it's that much to take us from Buendia to Batangas bus terminal. We get off the bus, we walk over to the terminal, we buy a ferry ticket. We usually end up waiting an hour for the ferry, sometimes 2 to 4 hours, depending on how up the schedule is. And then you get on the ferry and they take you over to Puerto Galera, where now the other pain in the ass is you have to have a room booked before they let you on the island. And you can do that easily on Agoda. Last time I was there, that was the problem. They're like, oh, you don't have a room booked? You have to book a room. So I pull out Agoda. I book a room. They're like, okay, I booked for one night. That's all you had to do. And then after that, I just found another place I wanted to stay. And then you take a tricycle from the ferry to your room. Actually, that was the time before last, but just looking at the comments here. I mean, so you can get to Puerto Galera in as little as 3 hours, and it can take as many as 6 hours, just depending on how you time the ferry and what time of year it is. How soon do you meet the Pina's parents? God, I dated a girl for 2 years. I never met her parents. The next one I dated off and on for 2 years because I was only here 1 month every quarter. I met the second one's parents after like 2 years. The third one, I met her parents within 3 or 4 months. I've actually only met the parents of 3 girls that I've dated over the years here. But I've known guys that meet the parents like the first week or two. To me, that's a little too soon. It depends on where they live, and if they're like, oh, it's like, hey, I want to go home to Rizal this weekend. My parents are having a barbecue. Why don't you come with me? Okay, that's normal. Meet the parents. The spinning traveler. It's Manila, baby. Man, there's nothing like it. Thanks for answering the question. Sure, it's a live stream, man. That's what this is all about. I mean, I could stick to my agenda, but I'd rather hit your questions. Well, Clyde, part of that future is definitely in there. The direction and feature of the channel will change once I go off grid for sure, man. The butterfly tattoos in Thailand, Cambodia, the Philippines is a good time, girl. Nothing wrong with that, but that's the entry level hooker. Butterfly, do you mean like tramp stamp tattoos? I can't confirm or deny that, but you're probably right. Moment Philippines makes weed legal. No, I keep saying that. They're actually looking at making it legal for medical purposes right now. But like, I keep telling people that I'm like, man, if the Philippines legalized that, they'd be jumping off with tourism. How do you handle when you come across toxic expats that want to hang out? Well, is Oliver still on the stream? He's not a toxic expat. He's actually one of my best friends here now. But he introduced me to a guy not too long ago who was a nice guy. Seemed nice. But like after he introduced me, he's like, hey, bro, just FYI on this guy. I heard this, I saw this, like, you just might want to keep it in mind. And that's kind of how we do it. We not only vet girls, we vet expats here. And I learned that from a friend of mine who's actually a really good friend of mine now, and I'm glad to have him as a friend. But basically, I knew him for 2 years, and I knew him through another friend who'd been a pretty good friend. But it wasn't until like this guy knew me for 2 years, had seen me around, watched my game, see my girl. Like, it took him 2 years to vet me before he was kind of like, hey, man, I got a thing going on. Why don't you come out? Like we did not. He was friendly, and but he was always at arm's length. Like, and I was fine with it. Like, nice guy. Hey, good to see you. Blah blah blah. I see a lot of people. Nice guy. Good to see you. So like when guys are like, "Hey, look, you want to hang out?" and I might have a question about them, I would be like, "Well, look, man, believe it or not, I don't really hang out a lot. I work a lot. I do tours a lot. I meet guys that have done consultations with or are paying for me to take them somewhere or guide them somewhere or care for them in some way or bodyguard them even. Um, so I'm out a lot. It might look like I'm hanging, but I don't just like today. It's what, Wednesday, and if someone's going to be like, "Well, I'll give you," yeah, it just depends. If it's someone who I kind of know casually and they make a very generous invitation, like, "Hey, I'm throwing I don't know, a birthday party for my girlfriend at Xylo, and we have a giant table, and we're not taking donations. Bring your girlfriend." Like, actually, a good friend of mine did that the other night, and that was just swell of him. That's what a great guy he is, and he invited a couple of his friends. I happen to be one of them. But like, in other words, like, make it worth my while, man. I'm a busy guy. I meet a lot of people. Like, I don't really need to hang out. It's not like I'm looking for friends. I got like a top three, four, maybe five guys here that I know, that I've trusted, that I vet, and those are the guys that if I want to hang out with, I'll hang out with. Like, a guy invited me to his condo a couple of weeks ago. He's like, "Bro, I saw this new cocktail recipe. I want to try it out. I'm going to get some good booze." He's like, why don't you come over? We'll knock back a couple, catch up. It's always too loud when we hang, so let's spend some quality time. And that was like one of the first times I actually hanged in a while. But I knew this guy. He's been a friend, and I like him. But then we went out and we painted the town red. Normally, I just tell the guy, "Look, man, I'm busy," or like, "Look, man, thank you for the invite, but I'm with my girl," or "Sorry, I'm giving a tour tonight. I can't really invite you." And it's not like I'm lying. Uh, you just tell them you're not available. And nobody really pushes here. Like, people aren't pushy, and they don't need to be. There's a million girls here and bros that are probably willing to hang out, and it's easy to meet guys. How do you handle? And if somebody's just like overtly toxic, I can't really feel like I've seen that, but there are guys that tend to get weird when they drink. Um, some guys, when they drink too much, they like start, I don't know, maybe they take their shirt off or do weird shit, and it's just like, "Hey, bro, come on, chill with that." Like, next time I know not to go drinking with you. What I do for income? Oh, I do so many things, man. I work for what they call BPO. It's business process outsourcing. It's call centers or data centers, and I did a lot of uh, management for startup BPOs here. So I do a lot of consulting for BPOs, but primarily the last couple of years I had worked for a BPO that did all Google accounts. So I worked on back end projects for Google, learning how they were developing their processes that they use for advertising, digital advertising, and more so like I keep saying geofencing, but what I mean to say is demographics. So, like, how do you create targeted ad campaigns using all these elements of geofencing, demographics, and the back end systems that Google allows you to use in order to target your customers. So I do consulting for that. I build websites or Google backend ad systems for guys that want to target their audiences. I also help them use Google Analytics and other data to determine what their target audience is, and then I manage their Google advertising campaigns to ensure that their campaigns are targeting the right people. And then of course there's YouTube and the advertising that comes from that. And then there's other stuff that I sell stock photography, stock videography, upload a lot of that shit. That takes time and energy. She actually helps me a lot with that. Actually, I hired. I can't really talk about some of the other stuff I do here. Technically, I don't do anything. I'm retired. She does everything. It's all her business. It's all her income. Uh, all my money comes through my U.S. bank accounts. I don't make any money in the Philippines. Like I don't get paid in Philippine pesos anymore. I do mostly consulting. Traveling for a few weeks, besides where you're at. Uh, well, most guys that come here will do like the Makati BGC scene for like a week, and then they'll head up to Angeles. But instead of Angeles, I recommend Subic, specifically Barrio Barreto. And if you look at my channel, you'll see an Angeles video, and you'll see a Subic Bay Barrio Barreto video or two. And I discuss why they're different and why they're similar and why I like one and not the other. But a lot of guys will go for like a long weekend in Angeles or Barreto. I like Barreto because it's on the beach, and it's cheaper. Uh, but if you were going to hop, I would say, what's most popular is a short flight to Boracay Island. Guys will spend a week in Boracay, but also you'll say, well, look, Boracay isn't the greatest place to pick up and meet girls, so you either have to bring your girl there or just chill with your bros, or find hookers, which are cheap in Boracay. Um, I would say, believe it or not, Siargao, and I don't know if Philly in the Philippines is still on the live stream, but Philly in the Philippines just moved to Siargao. Now Siargao is a beautiful island with beautiful beaches and a great nightlife scene. It's one of the few like beach nightlife spots besides Boracay that you're gonna find. You can use your game, if you know what I mean. It's a big tourist island now. Siargao is beautiful. A lot of guys. I don't know about Cebu, man. Like, there's another guy I could put you onto that lives in Cebu. He seems to like it. And there's a new strip in Cebu where there is nightlife. I like Cebu because you can jump off. Like you can go to Bohol for a day or 2 or 3 days. You can go to Bantayan for a long weekend. You can go to Moalboal and the Canyoneering Falls and stuff like that. If you want sort of an off-grid vibe, yeah, I have a backpacking Philippines playlist. But if you want like way off-grid, like you go to Isla Hagantes, and that's kind of a haul. Like you got to go to from Manila to Panay Island, where you find Ilo, and then from Ilo you got to go to Carlos, and from Carlos you got to get a boat, and that takes you to Isla Hagantes, and then it's got to be the right time of year if you want to get the other boats to do the island hopping. But those islands are incredible, like pristine, way off the grid, very province vibe. Uh, might not even have cell service there. Yeah. And then the last one would be I like Puerto Galera, man. Like Puerto Galera is just beautiful. You know, it's a a 4 to just say it's a 4 hour trip from Manila. It costs less than $20 to get there. It's a bus and a ferry, and there's beautiful white beaches, and there's Sabang, and Sabang's kind of like a barbell town. So I would say most guys do the Makati BGC, then they hit Angeles or Subic, and then they spend a week or so in Boracay. Like that's a pretty rounded, popular Philippines trip. The If you wanted to swap out Boracay, I would say swap in Siargao. And if you want like the pristine, like oh my god, otherworldly Philippines, then you got to go to El Nido. And I think El Nido kind of has a bit of a nightlife scene too. I got a LOL from my boy here. What was so funny? Uh, could you get by on YouTube dollars only? Is it enough? Some guys can get by. Some guys are making a killing on YouTube. I'm kind of like throttled on YouTube. You know, I spoke out against the narrative during lockdown, and YouTube really put the clamps on my account. But because of membership and because of watch time, I've gotten to the point where I can actually pay my bills from YouTube. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful to my members. Like if it wasn't for the members, that wouldn't be happening. And that's why I'm looking at making more member only content. And what else? What else? What else? I don't know. It looks like YouTube's actually starting to ease off on that a little bit. So you never want to consider it enough. Like it's a platform that you could be snaked off of any second. Like there's 100 reasons why like they would just turn my account off tomorrow and then I'd be screwed. Um, it's an online revenue stream, and you want multiple online revenue streams. 300K would definitely last you 10 years easily, easily. If you want to do a consultation, I'll show you how. I know this has been asked a million times. Yes, 300K, 10 years, no problem. Granted, 10 years is going to be a completely different landscape. And if you're familiar with Agenda 2030, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider there. Like, that's why I tell guys, like, you're thinking about moving to the Philippines, you want a consultation. And it's not just, how do I move to the Philippines? How do I get an apartment? It's like, what's going to happen in 5 years? What's going to happen in 10 years? What's up with my visa? Like, there's a lot of things going on globally with that global agenda that, again, shit that I talk about that got my channel throttled and shut down. So now I try to only do that for consultations. 4,000 a month plus something. BEI plus being a veteran. Is that luxury or okay? No, that's you're skirting luxury at 4,000 a month. Like you can live luxuriously for 4,000 a month almost anywhere in the Philippines, even like high end BGC. Um, no doubt. Like I was living in BGC for $1,000 a month, and it wasn't luxurious, but I had a nice condo. It had a pool. It had a gym. It was right in the heart of everything. Like the thing that you got to understand about BGC, I mean, despite the fact that it's a small, essentially 15-minute city, is that it's the equivalent of living in like Midtown Manhattan. Like living in Midtown BGC is like living in Midtown Manhattan, and your Midtown BGC condo is going to cost you $500 or $600 a month. I mean, up to 1,000, depending on how big you want it or how nice you want it. I should say nice or exclusive you want it. So, but living in Midtown Manhattan is going to cost you what's $4,500 a month for a studio, 6,000, 8,000 for a one bedroom. So that's not luxury. Like, but living in a nice condo, like a penthouse condo in either Uptown BGC or Midtown BGC for $500 or $600 a month, that's pretty sweet, man. That's kind of luxurious. Like, you never have to leave the city. You don't need a car. But if you wanted a car, you could own a car on 4,000 a month. You have to pay for parking. Insurance is a pain in the ass. You run a big risk, because like when you get in an accident here, it doesn't matter you have insurance. The police pull you over, and like the guy like he wants 100,000 right now, and if you give him 100,000, I'll let you go. Like it doesn't go to court. Like it's all just handled on the street in cash. Especially if you're a foreigner, they're like, "Ooh, I just hit the gold mine." I would never drive here. Well, this stream's been going for a while. Hadn't intended it for take this direction. Oh my 2 hours and 24 minutes? No way. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I'm just gonna end on this note. This was intended to be a weekly live stream starting this week, and I was going to keep it to 30 to 60 minutes, and I was going to cover topics on a list from the subject frustrations, desires, and fears. Today we covered frustrations, navigating visa requirements and extensions, finding reliable and affordable long-term accommodations. From the desires list, we only got to exploring hidden gems and off-beaten path destinations. And from fears, we got concerns about personal safety and crime rates. So we covered all that today. Next on the list, the frustrations would have been dealing with language barriers in rural areas. From desires, it would be enjoying the vibrant nightlife in cities like Makati and Cebu. And from fears, it would be fear of natural disasters such as typhoons and earthquakes, which are all good conversations. And I will get to those in the next live stream, which will be next Tuesday or Wednesday. Believe it or not, I'd like to get to the point where I could do one Tuesday and Thursday and start it earlier. We've been working 3 to 9 a.m. I think that'll end in September. But I was like, the plan was to start at 9, and the plan was to use OBS and have all the shit up on the screen. But of course, it didn't work. I'll figure that out. For now, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for joining the live stream. And please, I don't know, follow my silly social media crap. And what I'll do is I'll post when I'm going to live stream on social media. So if you follow my Facebook page, and all the links for all my social media should be in the video descriptions of all my videos. So if you're into Facebook, follow the Facebook page. If you're into Instagram, follow the Instagram page. If you're into Twitter, follow the Twitter feed. Twitter, I think, is the best one because I can actually tell you the truth about what the hell's going on, or just repost stuff that tells truth. If you're thinking about moving to the Philippines, you definitely want to consider a consultation. And if you want to leave me some comments, I don't know, when you guys think that, hey, when's the best time you think for me to live stream? Should be Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday mornings, I usually upload Sundays. So, but there's a lot of stuff to cover. And, you guys have been great on the stream. And I got, I think they call it a super chat today where like guys donate, and every little bit helps. And I appreciate that. I super appreciate that. And if you guys want to see some more members only content, let me know what you want to see. I'll make videos for members all day long. Scamper. You know what? I was just looking at some B-roll video the other night that you were in from when the last time you visited, and I'm like I remember that guy. Yeah, you need cameras in your car for sure.
You're done, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. Once you say goodbye to the peeps.
I ate, baby, because my tummy's burning.
Well, good for you. It's freaking almost 11:30. So it's 11:30 a.m. We've been up since midnight, right? 1 a.m.
Midnight.
We set the alarm for midnight. We got out of bed at 1.
No, because I sleep late.
No, I slept.
I had so many errands yesterday.
Yeah, she had a long ass day, and then we worked from 3 to 9 a.m. 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I got on the stream. Now it's 11:30, so
I still have to do.
Yeah, we got stuff to do. I got to work out, and then we'll probably be in bed around 4, and then we'll be up around 1 a.m. again. It's been a weird couple of weeks. All right, guys. Thanks so much again for joining, and thanks for the super chat donations, and thanks for your comments and driving the conversation of the live stream. And tune in next week, or maybe even later this week, for more frustrations, desires, and fears, conversations, and topics. And if you want to weigh in on the initial thought, which was, why is it always old male foreigners and young Filipinas as opposed to old women foreigners and young Filipinos?
Actually, it's here in the Philippines. It's more like why old women goes to young men.
But old women don't go to young men here. I'm just saying you're starting to see
There
more of it
is.
now. What?
Yeah.
Locally or foreigners?
No, locally.
No, we're talking about foreigners.
Okay.
But apparently there is a big sugar mama culture here for young boys.
Yes.
And if they're all Filipino.
Same thing with bakla as well.
Oh,
So
huge
old
with
bakla,
the baklas,
the young boy.
which are basically the trans community, like old trans people will pay young Filipino boys for action to be sugar babies.
The nanny and mama was watching your stream.
Oh, interesting. But you'll also see older men, foreign men with younger Filipino men. I mean, granted, there's people that have different preferences. I get that. But again, the mystery is why not older foreign women with young Filipino men? And the only kickback I got on the stream from that was that the older foreign women, the Caucasian women, well, they just go to Africa. So I'm gonna leave you with that thought. Thank you again.
Thank you.
See you again next week.
Bye bye.
That was fun. All right, how do I turn this thing off? Crazy.
There and
Oh, end stream. Check out my technician here.
oh and